Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to the Brighter Shores live stream day. What are we at now? 23. So today we are technically 1 week from the 1 month mark. However, as we mentioned the other day, we are going on a little bit of a pivot on this account. Actually, I guess I could show it here while we're already on the other menu since he's just AFKing anyways. Oh, we need to go do our passive. But of course, we ended up learning the other day, 2 days ago, that they are adding the Forager gloves on March 16th, unless it gets delayed. With our current leatherworker level, we should be able to get this halfway maxed as far as the level that we end up getting from it. And with that being said, that means I kind of want to go and utilize this some, at least for tier 9. So since we are already over the next week going to have several days where we're going to need to have to do other stuff anyways, I figured our game plan at this point is that we kind of like do a little bit of a stall. Today will be like the last day we do a mega push for Forager. We're still going to be getting Forager up, of course. I want to get to about tier 9 by this point. However, one thing I kind of want to do is, because of this, I kind of want to pivot to, you know, other things. We'll AFK a little bit more while we do Slay the Spire 2 starting tomorrow. When I have my dentist thing, I just won't stream that day just so I don't have to worry about it and anything like that. So that's pretty much the game plan is we're going to stall with other things like merchant, maybe some combat that we need, other stuff. And basically, we'll get to tier 9 between, you know, today and everything else that we'll do in between now and the 16th. But I want to do almost the entirety of tier 9 with the tier 5 Forager gloves, or whatever we're going to have by then. Who knows, maybe we'll even do some leatherworker so we can go get tier 6 gloves, we'll see. Because I have the merchant level to pretty much do that once we go train merchant level, so maybe we'll try for tier 6. We don't know what the reward would be at that point, like what the difference between tier 5 and 6 would be. But long story short, Forager's gloves, obviously going to be an improvement in some way, shape, or form. And I kind of want to go for them for the final push, as this will be the first and only time we'll really be able to utilize them. I mean that in the sense that on our alt accounts, obviously they're mostly passiving, so we don't really get to experience it. So I kind of want to experience it before we end up hitting max, just so we can feel the full experience of what kind of impact they're going to have on the game, especially if they're only XP only. But I have a feeling they're going to be like, you know, you'll be able to harvest quicker, or, you know, small chance of double harvesting or whatever it ends up doing. But whatever it is, it should benefit you even at max, but I want to experience it prior to max. That's pretty much the game plan. Today will be the last big XP push that we'll do for probably until March 16th, honestly. Obviously, we'll still be doing some passivings there. I'll still be like touching some resources here and there. We'll probably still be doing some combat synergy with it, because of course, we do unlock some interesting combat synergy soon. Currently, we have Wall Plant into Death Crow, but very soon we have Carnivorous Plant into both Potato, as well as Carnivorous Plant into the Hailberry, if we want to end up going for that, or not the Hailberry, whatever the other thing's called, the Hogberry. And then, of course, we also have Here Beast with these. Don't have the level for it at the moment, but of course, at level 30, which is in 7 levels, which we would definitely have by the time we have that combat level, we'd be able to go and do Water Plant plus combat. So stuff like that is probably stuff that we're going to be looking at, and probably start getting back into our combat pivot, get back into those we need to chef level pivot, get back into the get at least bare minimum 6 merchant thing that we could easily do in 1 day, and maybe even train leatherworker so we can get it like midway through, so we can get these 6 Forager gloves. Unfortunately, we don't know what level it would be required at. Obviously, we have no info until it comes out. But if we had to guess based on the other one, it's probably somewhere in the middle of the skill, which means we'd need like 20-ish leatherworker levels as well. Not sure if I want to do that without the mining buff, but I don't know. We'll see as we keep going through some of those grinds. Anyways, let's go and yeah, start it up. Main goal for today, and pretty much only goal of today, is to go get a level and a half to go get 25, and then go complete out the second to last stone monument upgrade. Rip that guy. But anyways, hello Isabel, hello Vernos, hello everyone watching after the fact. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys have been having a wonderful middle of your week. But yeah, that's pretty much the game plan. We're going to be slowing down just for a little bit, just so we can go and get that Forager glove synergy, as I want to try to do pretty much the entirety of tier 9 with Forager gloves. And then once, you know, Forager gloves come out on the 16th, we would then push for about a week, go all in, and, you know, finish out the final grind with the benefit of whatever on our Forager gloves are going to do. And that's pretty much the game plan at this point. As far as today's stream, we are going to go back to the beach for 1.5 levels, go get those. I did do some racks off stream, though. As you can see by the fact that we have the first time bonus. Didn't grab that many. I think I grabbed like 100 or 2. I kind of lost track since I was just doing it while watching some TV last night. So, not sure exactly how many I did, but, you know, we did more than none. One nice thing about these stacking, too, is you don't even need a full inventory clear. Look at this. We're going to do this with only 4 inventories left. Oh, yeah. We gained a level there. There's something I can actually do with that if I want to. We can catch Gennards. I'm not sure if I really want to go crazy with these, but this is one of the few resources that they added that you cannot buy at a shop. Some other ones, like for Forager, for example, that we can get are the nettle and the racks that we were gathering earlier off stream. But, yeah, the Gennards are one of them. Honestly, let me go teleport there now. Since we probably won't be doing this much, I just kind of want to go for one inventory. Oh, I could have gotten some fishing synergy too. You know what? We're going to take the scenic route. I'll take the scenic route over there so we can get her some fishing tasks, just to see if we have a Gunnar task. Though probably not, because I don't think it retroactively resets when you get a level. Though maybe it does, because I think cooking does still, if I'm not mistaken, where the cooking board gets reset. Yeah, I think bounty boards do get reset when you gain a level. Like, they readjust to whatever your level range is. It doesn't re-roll your slots. Like, let's say you have 6 slots and you took 2 of them. And have 4 slots remaining. It'll only re-roll those 4 slots that you still have remaining. However, also I will take this for once just because we kind of need it with the set. But, however, if we did have that, you know, those 4 would re-roll. But since we haven't taken any of them, all 6 should, I think, re-roll. I don't know, we'll find out in a moment when we go head over there. But, yeah, let's go head over there, see if we get Gunnar synergy. If we don't, it's not that big a deal. And if we do, well, we're still just catching them anyway, so... Yeah, we'll just get like an inventory or 2. Ideally, if we do get synergy, I want catch only because I do want to keep them. I don't really want to turn them in. But even if it's not catch only, you can still catch them for a little bit extra XP if you do it that way. It's not a lot, but it's better than, you know, having nothing at all. And since we're going to have to pass it anyways, might as well. This will be one of the first times this week that we really get to properly do this. Obviously, we did it on Monday, just messing around with the new spawns. But the new spawns that let you infinitely fish are so nice. I'm not sure how much I'll be utilizing it, but this is like the 1 level range where we will. We did the math earlier. We will need 3,000 Gunnards to do the 3 levels that we're going to need for cooking at a later point, if we want to do it off of only Gunnard. However, realistically, we probably only need like 1,000 Gunnards. Obviously, we're not going to do that all on the stream. But I figured we'd get like an inventory or 2 since, you know, we're kind of already at that point, might as well. But, yeah, we need like 3,000. Realistically, 1,000. But if we were to do it with no knowledge points, no XP pots, no nothing... it would end up being 3,000 Gunnards for 3 levels, which is kind of high, but of course, obviously, that's not how you normally do Chef. Really? Okay, good, I got 1 Gunnard. It's not catch only, though. Wow, we got a lot of trout. It really wants me to go get trout right now. But no, let's just go get our Gunnards and go from there. Grab these 2 limpets, go put all these away, and yeah, let's go do a Gunnard inventory or 2, I guess, just for the sake of it. Just so we have some banked for when we need it later. In case I somehow forget to go grab it at any point, which I probably will. But since we're pivoting a little bit off of Forager until Forager Gauntlets, then, you know, that's one thing we might throw in there at some point. But for now, let's go say hi to them. I don't think we're going to go for an entire level. I don't know, we'll see. See what the XP rate's like. I don't feel like we'd go that far. But one thing that's really nice about Gunnards and several other ones of these now, pretty much anyone that you have the buff for, and you get this buff really early, by the way. You get the buff for Gunnards at, like, level 1, or, you know, tier 1. Like, this is one of the first upgrades you get, and one of the most useful ones you get in all fishing. As Gunnard's the only fish that is not buyable from a shop. So when we play on, like, an Ironman, like, account like this, we have to get them from actually gathering them. And if you have trading enabled, you might be able to sell them for a little bit more because you have to buy them for other players if you don't want to gather them yourself. So they should have a little bit more value in that regard. So, yeah, they're probably the highest priority the fish to go for that aren't ventures. They're pretty much one of the only few fish we would ever actually bother going out of our way to catch. But basically, we just click on all of them, click an XP pot. By the time we do that, they should come right in front of us, and we repeat the cycle again, and just keep doing that until we have a full inventory Gunnard. We then go bank them, obviously, where we just banked earlier, just go store them all away. And then you just repeat that until you feel like you have all the Gunnards you ever need. Or just doing it for your bounty tasks, or however you want to end up doing it. We're probably not going to turn this in, though. I'm going to abandon this thing. As I do want to keep every single one of these. So we just claim that for the free little bit extra XP for catching them, and then we'll just get rid of it. It's just not worth going all the way over there to turn in one single task, especially because we actually care about keeping these. We do not care about the money that we would get for turning them in, as their actual profit is not that high. They're only like 2.7 each, so if we were to do it to the shop thingy, they're only like 3 each. But the main benefit is if you weren't catching them on a lone wolf account, then, you know, you just don't have them. So that's like a 3-level range in Chef that's just completely dead if you didn't end up getting them. And as we mentioned earlier, the math that we did says that we need about 3,000 Gunnards. That we obviously aren't getting all of them right now. But that does mean we would want to have at least like several hundred, 1,000, something like that for when we eventually reach the level range. But I'll probably just do this one inventory for now and grab the rest of them later. This is a pretty good AFK thing. It's kind of like the pond weight or something like that, because now you just infinitely loop them. You just click on all the Gunnards, drink a XP pot, and then boom, click on all the Gunnards. And if you really want to AFK, you know, you just click on all of them, wait, click on all of them, wait. You literally just click on every single one until your guy grabs them all, and then just click on all of them again once he does, and, you know, just keep repeating that. Whenever you hear your guy stop moving in the water. A little bit less efficient doing it that way compared to, you know, trying to make sure you get the correct one because they move all over the place, but it is a way to do it. Just click on all of them, wait till you hear your guy not moving anymore, click on all of them, wait again, and, you know, keep repeating that until you have a full inventory, rinse, repeat till you have however many you need. But anyways, yeah, that's that gameplay loop. Overall, yeah, a lot smoother with the 8 spawns. Absolutely love it. We have 8 spawn for basically every single thing that's relevant. The only 2 things we don't have it for are sardines, which we're technically unlocking today. Not because it's good, but because it's just a byproduct of what we're doing. Not because we actually want it. It's just a byproduct of the rest of our grind. However, the last one actually is a little bit useful. It's the salmon one. So you end up getting a little bit more salmon for the cake that you have to do like all the way at the end of Chef. So that's kind of nice to have for that, as it's the second to last thing you need. And technically, you'll actually make salmons quite a bit if you skip botanist grind, as you won't have access to any apple pie. So you might need salmon for like 6 levels. So be able to have the final monument upgrade for that is actually not that bad. But of course, that's not the main reason we're doing the monument. Main reason for the monument is, of course, the venture slot. Oh, so let's see. How far ahead is Shuno? This will be a good idea of how much we've been slacking. Because we were at one point like the same level. Though in all fairness, he is dropping though, instead of banking. But even disregarding that, he's still ahead of us by quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, he is almost at tier 9 already. He should be hitting it today if he grinds enough, which I assume he will be. But yeah, he's pretty much there. He is good to go. Oh yeah, I need to go use that point. Yeah, we're at a really weird cycle right now. I'm just trying to bank all this. But yeah, he's like, what is that? He is 16 levels? No, math. 18 levels ahead of us right now. Both from playing more, but also since he's not actually banking anything. I think he's only banking tier 9. He's been skipping tier 8 and below, I do believe. Alright, oh yeah, I forgot to go show the kelp. I'm actually curious how much I have. Not the kelp, the rack. So off stream yesterday, I did, before I go to bed, just kind of camp a little bit of rack. Not a lot. I don't even think it was like an hour's worth, but I did want to double check how much it was, just so we know for later for how many nettles we might get. If we go check our nettle, we have currently only 4 of them. But of course, we will be getting more when we go do the bone zone, as every cycle of the bone zone gives you 4. So that's why we exactly have 4 right now. Same as when you go to the fish if you're not bothering to grab some after. Also, we have some tier 9 because of the one of the enemies. One of the goblins that drops 50% modified loot. Not the normal goblin, but the chieftains below them, south of them. They end up dropping nettle. They were only dropping 2 at a time at our level range, so we got 25 drops. But yeah, we get some nettle from there, which is kind of nice because these are not buyable from shop. Which means at final tier, we might want to go for a little bit more rack than we normally would, just so that we can offset these. And it says it has a high price of 21, but these things aren't even buyable from the shop. So, yeah, the price is kind of irrelevant. Anyways, what I came here for is rack, which is the other one that goes with it. Yeah, I got 168. That's not too bad. Honestly, that's almost more than I got the previous tier, so not too bad. Actually, it's all one of the highest numbers we've gotten so far. We got 169, nice. 48, 60, 192, and then 168. Interesting. And then for final tier, I probably will go for 500 or 1,000, just because it's a little bit more relevant for tier 9, especially if special attacks for them are ever good. Because then we'll, we'd want the best in slot if we can for those situations. It's one of the few boost potions where I kind of only care about the highest one, honestly. The other ones we'll do for some first-time bonus and to kind of offset XP here and there. But Fire Potion might be one of the only few where we really care about it at max. Because let's say, hypothetically, it is good only for special attacks in the future. Then, we're going to want to have the best in slot for those in case you need those for PvP or you need them for some kind of boss or whatever. So it's one of those few situations where we really wouldn't use the lower tier ones, but we would need the highest tier one. Whereas the blue potions, we care about every tier. We care about plus 50, 60, 70, 75, 80, everything in between. But fire is one of those few that if we're realistically using them, we only really care about best in slot, most likely, for most situations where they would be applicable. But of course, time will tell with whatever they do with all the combat stuff down the line. But it is very unlikely that fire, and necromay for that matter, you'd really only care about the last one. So even if you were going through the botanist, you wouldn't really care about like mass hoarding, unless you need it for XP, which you probably would. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing most of our XP off of tasks and dungeons and ward events for botanists, because a lot of the supplies you just don't need. And one of those we were just talking about, of course, is the death berry things. I forget what it is. It's 2 of these together. I believe it's orchid plus tang fruit. No, it's bitter fruit plus thistle, I believe. Those 2 in combination make the necromay potion. But similar to rack plus nettle that make the fire potion, we don't really only care about it at final level. We really don't care about any tier that isn't max. So at a lot of level ranges, we would just be doing bounties that don't exist yet for that. We'd be doing dungeons, we'd be doing ward events. It's one of the main things I'm waiting for botanists on. Is going to remain similar to how Forager was, our lowest level skill, for quite a while. But the main thing I'm waiting for on botanist is just because a lot of the supplies you get from this skill are so bad with only a few handful of good ones. My plan for leveling botanist would be to do dungeons, bounties, ward events, all of that until we get to a good option. The main good options in the botanist are all of the ones that make the EXP potion, which I believe are hailberries plus dock leaf. Other good options include any cooking supply, assuming we haven't done the cooking grind yet, which would end up being most notably the chestnut, and then all the way at the end the apple. And then the other, oh, also the leek. So it has like a few mixed everywhere within it. And then the other good one is the, right at the beginning, the clover plus sage. The clover plus sage is used for the luck potion, which are pretty much the only two potions we wish to get from that chapter, because we really don't care about green potions for the most part. Maybe at some point they'll be a little bit more relevant, but for the most part, unless maybe at final tier, we really don't need to worry about green, similar to why we don't need to worry about Necromay and a bunch of other stuff like that. So we're going to mostly ignore that one. The fear potions we could easily ignore. I think we already, with what we have banked, have infinite fear. So if we just grab a few of these occasionally, it'll be fine. We have infinite and a half then. But we already have infinite, so we don't really need more of the fear potions of Gauntlet plus Dandelion. Orchid and Tank Fruit. I actually forget what that's used for. I'm trying to remember. Because I don't think that's the green one, is it? Maybe that is the green one. Because, yeah, that's the green one. Sorry. Yeah, Orchid plus Tank Fruit. This is confusing me because it used to be used for the yellow potion. But no, it's now used for the green potion. Is what Orchid plus Tank Fruit must be then. That's used for the Arborate potion that gives you extra green damage, which we don't care about that much. Leek we kind of do, but, you know, we could live without leeks for cooking if we truly had to. But, you know, having them is fine. Thistle and Bitter Fruit, I pretty much only have to do at tier max. Because those are the ones for the Necromay potion. I believe those are untradeable. I actually don't remember. They might be tradable. I think it was only the XP pots that weren't. Hailberries and Dockleaf we 100% want to go for. These are the XP pots, and we care about these at every single level range for the same reason why we care about these shells at every single level range. I don't think they're as good at XP compared to shell cycles, like not even close compared to Forager cycles. But for the same reason why we care about these shells for Foragers, the same reason we care about Hailberry, Dockleaf. Even more so because you can't buy Hailberry and Dockleaf from shop. So we have to also get an even number of both of them. And then apples, you know, it covers the last 3 levels of cooking. You can live without it, but you're going to need to make a lot more salmon cakes if you don't. So those are pretty much all the ones we would and wouldn't want to go for the most part. Which means basically every boost potion, which would be 4 of these, we don't need, and the 2 fear potions. So that's 6 that are 100% skip. And the ones that are like somewhat skip are all the cooking supplies where, you know, we don't want to like full skip them, but their priority is a little bit lower compared to alchemy supplies that are actually good. And that's pretty much how we'd go about Botanist. And in every single one of those holes, instead of training Botanist directly, we would just be doing like the world event for it, or we'd be doing the dungeon for it, or if we had to fall back on it, we'd do the you know, bounty task for it. Hey, Shore Central's around. I haven't seen him in a while. You didn't realize he was actually still playing, honestly. Did he say anything in chat, or he's just standing there? No, he's just chilling. He's just chilling in the middle, checking out all the new updates. He's just standing there menacingly. I forgot, he chose his faction, though he didn't choose if he wants trading enabled or not. Interesting. I wonder if he ever is going to do trading enabled. Because honestly, when it came to me, it was a no-brainer doing no trading enabled, at least for the main account. After playing a hardcore for like 3 years now on old school, I could never see myself playing a main account ever again on like any game that has like a trading system. It's just too much diplomacy and having to worry about other people to bother with. So we're pretty much just always going Iron Man, just for our sanity. One of our 3 accounts I will be making trade enabled just so we can engage with the mechanics and everything down the line. I'm likely doing it to our hammer mage just because it looks really clean having a double yellow icon above your head. Kind of like how we have the double blue. But beyond that, yeah, our other 2 accounts are likely going to not have trading enabled. Just so we can do everything self-sufficiently. This one is our main one, and our Guardian would be our backup. So this is we have a backup for, you know, if we ever want to try like an early game, mid-game Iron Man kind of account. That's pretty much the game plan there. I just haven't fully solidified them yet in case I do want to make both of them Lone Wolf or both of them enabling traded on these 2 side accounts. Because we don't know how long some other grinds are going to be down the line. Or how effective trading is going to be, and, you know, a bunch of other stuff like that. I know, Shore Central's not here anymore. No, we lost them. We lost them. He's probably just checking out the new fish. Also, 33 levels to all 5s. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. And if we go for some of our pivot grinds, Merchant should just skyrocket that number pretty quickly. There's one thing I want to do while we're waiting for Forager gloves. is go get merchant up, not just because I need the ventures for when we go get all of our venture slots, because we're going to be running the grape and cinnamon stick venture, which I need at least 25 for to run properly, because I need cinnamon sticks, of course. But beyond that, the other reason I kind of want to get merchant up is better forager gloves, of course. Because we're going to need better merchant so we can do better leather so that we can do better forager gloves. And we're going to need mining to go with that. So we'll be able to have higher mining to go with our better leather worker, to go with our higher merchant, to go with our forager gloves. And we're just going to do like a mega chain reaction if they keep doing it like that. Because that's pretty much the full chain that we know of by about a month from now. Is mining will feed into leather worker. With merchant, of course, also feeding into leather worker for the discount. That will then end up feeding to forager. And then forager feeds into fishing, and fishing feeds into nothing. But eventually it might feed into something. So it's just going to start like this whole chain reaction of, oh, you got to do this skill to get this skill to get this skill to get this skill. And it all starts currently with fisher on one end and mining on the other until they add more to the chain reaction. Luckily, mining we shouldn't have to go and level that much when we go and do it. Actually, what I kind of want to do for my first 2 mining levels is when we have 3 ventures, the very, very first thing I'm going to be doing might actually be a little bit weird, because I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this at this point yet. But at tier 8, you get Brimstone. They made this 23 hours as of like 2 Tuesdays ago or whatever it was. Not this week's Tuesday, but last week's Tuesday. They made it 23 hour instead of 11 hour. And in doing so, they made it viable to, you know, do it into a synergy of waiting a day and get all your ventures. So we end up getting really good synergy off of that. I kind of want to do that for 2 levels. The main reason being is we really don't care about the minecart system. And we want to just, you know, start getting to tier 8 flint. And the tier 7 thing all the way at the end of the previous section, I just buy from the shop. It actually technically profits, especially when smithing bounties come out. So we can actually just burn all of our money there and not really care about it that much. But that's pretty much the game plan there, is for 2 levels, I want to go and do the venture for mining there. And then we never do the venture again for all of that mining, because I would want to actually manually mine the rest. But at least for the first 4 levels, pretty much, of any mining level, which at this point I only have to do for 8 and 9, is when we're going to be doing the venture. Not only is it the area that the venture is strongest, but you also get to skip the most useless thing in all of mining, which is the minecart system. It's not that bad if you didn't really like fully upgrade your tool, but given that we did like an extra upgrade and gave it 12% instead of just 10%, I do kind of want to not do minecart, as it does not gain any benefit from the pickaxe. It's also just purely for money and everything. You don't get any unique resources from it, so it makes sense to go do the thing that does give you unique resources. Do it for those 4 levels. You know, still do the first time bonus in a few laps and stuff, but it's probably the most skippable thing in all of Miner is skip the first 4 levels by doing Brimstone, basically. And this is applicable to every level range. I think you start doing these at like tier 1 or tier 2. But for everything beyond that, the first several levels should always just be skipped with, well, not always, but you know, it is an option to skip it just with Brimstone, and that's what I plan to do with our 3rd venture slot. I'm going to initially be running probably double merchant into 1 mining until we get that 1 mining enough that we get our mining levels, so we get mining to level 4, so however long that would take, which should take about a week of doing the mining venture roughly. So we'll do about a week of the mining venture. That should get us to about, or should get us to level 4 mining. And then from level 4 mining, I would then pivot my ventures to be double merchant into 1 fish. And then we probably start doing it that way. Unless we do double fish into 1 merchant. I still haven't decided yet. It probably makes more sense to do double fish into 1 merchant. And the only reason I kind of want to do double merchant is I want to get all the alchemy supplies we need for every level range. And I kind of want to rush that down, because the fish that we're getting, we're not using for a while. I don't plan to push cooking for a very long time, whereas I do pretty much immediately plan to start pushing alchemy. And because of that, I do kind of want to set up for that. Oh no, I end up doing this again. I hate when that happens. It's the only thing I hate about that like weird double loop there. You sometimes accidentally grab this, and after the many misclicks we did last time, I'm just not even going to bother. I'm just going to full skip it. Never going to bother grabbing that 1 node. After what happened last time, we're going to save more time by just ignoring that this happened. Let's pretend we picked it up. Because trying to drop that and then get the other thing and just do all that is just way too much time waste. So we'll pretend that didn't just happen and just continue to loop as if we picked it up. At least the timers here, we don't have to worry about anything. Not like we normally do, but, you know, there's really no timers now. Since nothing has actually been touched in this room. Whoops. Not too big a deal, though. But yeah, based on how much XP we've been getting, we should be able to finish the XP grind within about the next hour or so. And then after we go finish out that, the game plan is spend the rest of the time just doing Stone Monument. I think I already have the Fear Potions. Yeah, I do. I already have the Fear Potions equipped. I made sure to get them earlier since I don't need the Boost Potion for a little while. And the whole game plan then would be to go and Fear Potion, target stone directly, and just spam out stone. And then from there, we will be taking 4 days to go do Slay the Spire 2 when it comes out tomorrow. And well, you know what that aligns perfectly to, which we've been trying to align this whole time, is the next 2 AFKs that are worth doing are starting as of today. We get anemones and sprays, and I'm going to do the full 2 times bonus for both of these over the next 4 days then. Between today going all the way into about Monday, assuming these things last long enough, we'll be able to get the entirety of anemone and the entirety of spray. The only problem with that after that is that means we would need to start pivoting to, you know, actually get more levels. As we'd either have to do like a weird +5 into scrap metal, or actually have to be forced to have to do maggots and beetles, which ideally we'd want to try to avoid having to do maggots and beetles. If we absolutely have to, it's still okay XP, it's just the resource we get from them is really bad. So if we could try to avoid that, that'd be great, but we'll see where our schedule ends up aligning. But otherwise, we'd be able to go get the scrap metal then, and then start getting the mega XP from getting to tier 9, which would be the best case scenario, which means by about Monday, or possibly that Tuesday, maybe off stream, I'll go grind for that. That doesn't mean I would end up getting into tier 9 off stream, which would be kind of bad. So hopefully I can get it on that Monday and just kind of throw it in the weekly video when we do smithing, so that we at least have it, you know, on stream if nothing else. But depending on where my schedule falls, yeah, we might have to do it that way. I don't know. We'll see where we are level-wise by then, after passiving that much and everything. But, I don't know, we'll see where we are. Because ideally, our next passive after scrap metal would, you know, or, you know, we'd be able to get to scrap metal passive. But then after that, we'd be able to get to the tier 9 passives, where even the worst ones are still worth it. Just because of how much EXP we're getting is just absurdly through the roof. Like, for example, from this one, we're getting 919,000. Compared to if we compared this to the previous tier, where, you know, if we were doing scrap metal, for example. Like, yeah, scrap metal is good, but it doesn't compare at all to 919,000. We're only getting 631,000. Plus, you don't get a tool bonus, so the other one's almost like a million. Whereas this is only 600, whatever that was, 631,000. Like, it's a solid, like, 350,000 plus lower than just going 5 levels higher, which is a lot. We're basically getting 50% more bonus for going 5 extra levels, which goes without saying is very, very high. So, yeah, we'll figure out some kind of plan by the time we reach that level range. That's an issue in about a week from now that I still don't have a solution for, but we'll figure it out when it happens. Because it's falling on days where I'm not going to have enough time to really grind, but that would have to force us to have to do a bad passive, so... worst comes to worst, maybe I'll just passive a different skill, since we're kind of stalling tier 9 anyways. Because worst comes to worst, maybe we'll just like passive smithing or, you know, something similar. To prepare it for the, you know, the smithing bounties on Monday. Or something like that, I don't know, we'll figure it out when we get there. It's like a several days from now issue. That we'll wait last minute for to try to figure out a solution to. Hey, let me grab this water. Got a nice fresh cold water. Actually, it's really cold. Almost feels like it was in the freezer, gosh. Temperature's been so low lately. There we go. Yeah, temperature doesn't know what it wants to do. Like, it hasn't been reaching, like, below freezing in this area, as it very rarely ever does. But it's been going from, like, mega cold days to, like, days that are, like, in the 80s. It just doesn't know what it wants to do. Like, near freezing, and then the next day is like, oh yeah, it's like 70 or 80 or 90. It just keeps whiplashing all over the place. Like, it's trying to get to spring, but it's not quite getting there. Alright, we almost got our second to last level that we need. And then at 25, the only objective we have then is stone. Stone should easily give us a level, though. Like, easily, stone will give us a level. Maybe 2 levels? Though it won't really matter because the main thing I need is 25 for our passive, so... Technically, the second we get to stone, we already have the level we need. Both for stone, but also for the passive, so... Anything extra we don't really need. Which is why level 25 is technically our end goal of this stream. Even though we're still going after that to go finish off Stone Monument, of course. But 25 is technically the only level we need to go do those anemones that are right there. But of course, at the next tier up. And what's great about this too is I'm not going to need a boost either of the two because they're already going to be at the level range. We're not going to need a boost at all for anemones, and we're not going to need a boost at all for sprays. Which will save us a little bit of money on the +1, +2 boost pots, which is nice. But if both of those two run out, we might have to utilize it some on some of the other bounties just for extra XP rate. Because we definitely don't want to default back to an activity that doesn't give 2 times XP. I'm not even sure why they even have such a thing to some degree. Like the way that they made the 2 times XP system is still the same thing that it was before, but just like a little bit different as far as how it's set up. Because at least now you don't have to do your highest activity. But it's still similar in that if you're not getting the 2 times XP, it's just not worth doing a passive. Like if a passive isn't giving you 2 times XP, is pretty much not worth it unless you're literally maxed on every skill in the game. Otherwise, you're just losing out on too much XP per hour just for free that you would be getting otherwise if you weren't playing. There are some things that you might do that for post-max, most notably Alchemy, where, you know, making plus 10 boost potions after the fact could be pretty good, or XP potions for a future chapter was out, in this case, you know, like Stonewall Hill, for example. So making, like, plus 10 boost potions if you're maxed right now, or making the boost potions, or the 14% for Stonewall Hill, the boost potion, or the wealth potion that gives you, like, 500% extra gold. Any of those 3 post-max would kind of be worth it as, like, your passive. But beyond that, you should pretty much never be doing any passive that isn't 2 times always. I guess the other excuse that you could end up doing for it, too, is if you really need money on an account, there's a handful of those potions that sell really well in trading-enabled accounts. So if you don't mind taking a half XP hit on your alt accounts or your main, you could end up doing a potion that is not 2 times XP, but you are getting a ton of profit from it because you have a buyer that wants that potion, that is willing to pay you, you know, like 100, 200, 300 silver each for that potion or something. Not sure what the market's at for some of them, but, you know, they probably go for quite a bit, a couple of them. Most notably the boost potion. Especially at the higher level ranges, like +5 or higher. It'd be like one of the only few situations I could see where doing a passive where it is not 2 times XP would be kind of still okay to do. Because if you have trading enabled and you want it for the profit. Because the alt account could probably make a lot of money that way. Like if you had an alt and all it did was make like +10 boost potions forever. Because it has 500 alchemy and you just kept making +10 boost potions forever. That thing would probably generate like a gold a day, if not more. Maybe even like 2 gold a day. The problem is you'd have to reset it twice a day, which is kind of annoying. But it probably passively, with like a few minutes of input, makes like a gold or 2 a day in profit. If you were to sell those to another player, or just give to your main account to use at some point. I said hello, British Shore Central. Saw you earlier. Checking out the fishing stuff. But yeah, how are you liking the Milestone stuff? I don't think I've seen you much since Milestones, if at all. I think that was the first time when I saw you in the other room. But yeah, we're currently trying to do the entirety of the Monument grind. I am starting to take a break as of tomorrow, though, so go do Slay the Spire 2. But, yeah, we're still pushing it. We're 23 days in. It will probably take a little bit over a month, just because I'm stalling until Forager Gloves, because I want to have Tier 9 done with Forager Gloves if we can. Get, like, Tier 5 or Tier 6 Forager Gloves to go do the final tier in, for all of Tier 9 if we can. So that will delay me a little bit in doing the Monument grind, but otherwise, yeah, we're pretty much on pace for doing it within a month. Though I will be stalling it a little bit just so we can do the Forager grind, or, you know, Forager Glove grind at the end. Just so we get to experience them some before we don't get XP anymore from Forager. You've just been doing a few bounties? Nice. Yeah, overall fishing bounties aren't really too worth doing. They're a fun little change in pace, but the main thing that is likely going to be the case with a lot of bounties is, for the most part, it's really only going to be worth doing bounties for production skills, it seems like. But the way that's set up, gathering skills just don't gain enough benefit from all the walking and everything else that you have to do, as well as the fact that you have to scrap some of your material for a useless amount of gold, or a useless amount of silver. It just doesn't really seem worth doing bounties for most gathering skills, if any at all. Just because, you know, there's not really much of a cost associated with gathering skills. Whereas for production skills, like, you know, smithing and stonemason ones that are coming out in the near future, are very high value because they save you money. They make things that otherwise would be negative money into positive money, as well as things that are already slightly positive money, oddly enough, that they changed with the Milestone update, become even more positive money. So, it will definitely benefit production skills like that a lot more compared to, you know, gathering skills like Forager, Botanist, Fisher, you know, stuff like that won't gain that big of a benefit, as their core gameplay loops don't really need bounties to function, whereas a lot of production skills just gain pure value from it, and just save money and time ultimately. So that's likely going to be the case for almost every skill in the game. There might be some exception to that, but for the most part, most skills are probably only going to be worth doing bounties for if they are a production skill. Oh yeah, I forgot. We get the sardine upgrade there too. It's kind of weird that it shows at 25. As unless you have trading enabled, I'm pretty sure it's literally impossible to get the stone monument completed at level 25. As the amount of XP we'll get from collecting all the stone will actually put us at level 26, oddly enough. The only reason I have it at 25 is I think with trading enabled, you could just trade for all the stone rather than gather it yourself. Of course, on a lone wolf, we will gain 1 level from that since we cannot buy the stone from someone. You're getting used to it, just wanting actual content. Yeah, they do need some kind of, like, repeatable content at some point. I personally haven't been minding it as much because, you know, just been doing other games in the meantime. It's one of the reasons why the last 10 months prior to this, like, month-long Forager grind, you know, we've just been kind of doing other stuff and just keeping up with dailies. But, yeah, we don't have any, like, permanent, like, content as of the milestones yet. Obviously, we will be getting stuff like reward events that will be nice for offsetting things. We'll be getting dungeons at some point soonish. And I say soonish as if that's like months from now. It could be years. You know what I mean? At some point. They even made an update this Monday that implies that they're still doing skill trees. They end up making it so all off-profession gear is no longer grayed out. This is likely in preparation for other things that they're doing internally for combat. As even though they don't have anything on the roadmap for combat at the moment, it is still something on the 1.0 roadmap, if nothing else. And they did an update where off-faction gear is no longer grayed out. And the main reason for that is they mentioned many times in the past, you will likely be able to get off-profession proficiency to be able to wear other professions' gear. It'll likely be worse than, you know, if we were to wear our own. Like, obviously, Cryonet gear will still be better for us than even if we wore Guardian. But we should be able to go and upgrade that or do whatever that system is to be able to wear other faction gear while still having pretty decent proficiency with it. Probably not as good as the actual class itself, but good enough where it would actually justify using it. Like for a green weapon, for example, for Cryonet, where we completely lack them at the moment, but with enough Guardian proficiency, we'd be able to go and utilize them. Because pretty much every single class would want to probably prioritize getting proficient in the one class that they have no weapon in at all. So for Cryonet, that'd be something like green, for example, as we have no green weapon that we can end up utilizing. For something like Guardian, it's yellow, and for something like Hammer Mage, it is blue, where you have a range weapon for it, but you don't have any melee weapon for the coloration, which means you kind of need to get ones in case you want to utilize weaknesses and stuff, as well as any future content in the game. But yeah, it's still in the state of just number go up. But they've really been refining the number go up, if nothing else. Adding some interconnectivity, stuff like that. It's one of the whole reasons why we're waiting on the Forager Gauntlets. Is, you know, we kind of want to get that whole chain loop reaction going. Because then they're going to be making the mining update too, where mining feeds into Leatherworker, then Leatherworker feeds into Forager. And as of this week, of course, Forager feeds into fishing. There's like a bunch of 8 fish spawn. We're messing with that mostly on the Monday stream, though we messed around a little bit today with Gennard's. Not that long, though. We just went for 1 inventory. But I did mess with it slightly. But, yeah, I'm liking that extra amount of interconnectivity. I was slightly concerned that the whole community complaining about more interconnectivity would make them do some weird things that might be, you know, not ideal for the game. But honestly, some of the changes that they've been doing with the interconnectivity lately, I like. I would say the only thing that they've done so far that I feel like was pretty needless was the cages for pufferfish. I feel like was the only one that kind of wasn't needed out of all the interconnectivity they've been trying to do so far. But otherwise, I think it's been going pretty well. Most of the stuff that they've been trying to connect together overall. That was like the only thing they've done so far that just seems kind of weird. Just for the sake of doing it pretty much. Especially since they had to add like a whole new tree just to go do it as well. It's not even like they reused an old tree or something. Let's see. Forager gloves, gem for leatherworker sounds good. Just hope that the rare and not multiple skins. Well, I assume it's just going to be, you know, 1 tier per each. It seems like something you're only going to have to do once. And then you just have the upgrade forever. Is how I ended up understanding it. You send a request to have the account track how many bounties completed for fishing. And if maxed fish to have the option to exchange XP to give extra silver. Yeah, that's one thing I've been concerned about. This is actually going to be our first 500 when we go to Monument. Obviously, we won't have all the way there, but, you know, if we're already that deep by the time we get there, obviously we're finishing all the way to 500. We're pretty much already there by the time we finish out the Jade Monument. But with that being said, yeah, that's one thing I've always been concerned with in the current state of Brighter Shores is getting a max level. It's why we're level 5,523 and still have 0 500s. Not counting combat because it works differently. But we don't have any real 500 yet, despite being this high of a level. We might actually be one of the highest levels, if not the highest in the game without a 500. But that will be changing in the next, you know, upcoming weeks. However, the main reason I've been avoiding 500 is just there's no reason to have a 500 in the current state of the game. There's just nothing there. Like, it's kind of pointless because you don't get any EXP drops. You still get the knowledge, which is nice, and obviously you still get the material of whatever you're gathering. But, you know, there's no extra, like, tertiary drop that you can start getting at max. Like, there's no, like, rare thing that you can end up getting from a tier 9 material. There's no, there's no game after max, basically, at the moment. You can keep grabbing the same material, but you're getting no XP and barely any knowledge. So, yeah, it's definitely something I'm hoping that they would have fixed sometime in beta. And they might still. Hopefully, as this quality of life at some point. But it's the main reason I've been trying to avoid 500s, even though we are doing 500 Forager, but that's because of Monument. An extra venture slot is just way too valuable. We've done the math on it many times, and it is absurd how much value you get per venture slot. We mentioned that at the beginning of the game, too, that whenever venture slots come out, we will literally drop everything to unlock whatever it is, regardless what we had to do for it, as they are just so strong. And that's still the case, which is why we're doing Monument Month. As, especially for passiving a ton, like if we start going for like the next couple months again, because I have a 3-month trip this summer to Europe, so, you know, I'm going to be away for 3 months where I won't be able to play as much, so it makes even more sense to get these ventures, because I'll have enough time to keep up the dailies, but, you know, I won't have enough time to, like, power grind like we are right now the last, like, month or so. So, you know, getting that third venture slot is really good when you're not playing as much, and even if you are playing a bunch, it's just a lot of free value. It's basically 7 hours of free passive, basically. It's like if every day, instead of doing 24 hours of passive, you could do 31 hours of passive. It's basically how strong an extra venture slot is. It starts to add up to be a lot of extra value over time. And that's only for one venture slot. Obviously, we will eventually get a 4th, 5th, and 6th as well. And whatever we need to do for those, we will drop everything, assuming I have time at a given time. But we will drop everything and go all in for it, whatever the grind is. In this case, it happens to be finish Monument, but, you know, whatever it is in the future, we will also do that. And immediately unlock every venture slot just because they're way too much value to not immediately get. Even on my alt accounts, I have them starting to pivot to Forager. Actually, right now, technically pivoting them to Milestone 2 and everything from Mines of Batubin. Both for the upcoming quest, 7-star quest, but also because of the smithing and stonemason bounties. But then after I have them pivoted that over the next month, I'm going to pivot them back to Forager and slowly just keep chipping out the Monument and try to get my alts to finish Monument. Just because it's such high priority now. Where am I going? Oh, I'm just going to Greece for 3 months. There's a friend I've been meaning to see for years now that I've known for a little over a decade that, yeah, was able to host me for that amount of time. So I was like, oh, might as well. Because originally it was just going to be like a couple weeks or a month or something. But I basically stayed the longest legal limit you could do with a US passport, or with most passports. Because generally, without doing a bunch of other filing and stuff, the most you could stay in any country is like 3 months. So I'm staying like right under that. I think it's like 86 days, roughly. Hopefully the war doesn't end up doing anything in that area. Some prices might be a little bit higher, if nothing else, like everywhere in the world. But, yeah, hopefully that doesn't affect actually getting there and everything. But it should be fine. Greece is, like, far enough away from Iran and everything that it hopefully shouldn't affect it. But, you know, you don't know what's going to happen in, like, 3 months from now. As it's a 3-month-long trip in 3 months, so... a lot of things can happen in 3 to 5 months. So we'll see what happens by then. But I'm really looking forward to it. And luckily, since we're splitting the cost of everything, it shouldn't even cost that much. Like, it's going to cost a lot, but relative to how long it is, it should only cost about $2,500 to $3,000. Which sounds a bit high, but is, like, 3-month duration. So, you know, like, $3,000 for, you know, 3 months is not that bad at all. Because that will count housing, food, you know, entertainment. So most of our entertainment should be pretty free, though. There's a lot of historical sites you can see for free there and stuff like that. Some of it will probably obviously pay for and stuff like that. But, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to go outside of Greece at all during that duration. Like, it's something we could do, but, you know, it just costs more money, so I'm not sure. It's mostly the money factor that's the concern. These both of us having to get a flight, and then, you know, we won't have anywhere to stay there unless we find another friend. And just go in, like, an infinite friend loop. But, you know, if we have to go do, like, a hotel for, like, a week or something, that starts to add up, like, a lot. So we're probably just staying in Greece most of the time. If not the entire time. I'm not under 11% right now. Okay, just making sure. Gosh, just pop up. I wish you could tell it to, like, pause or make save later, not stall you. That's, like, the main thing they gotta do. That or have, like, a 4th button that's, like, please wait, like, 30 seconds. And stop pop-upping, like, every single second. Because I need the pop-up to happen so we get less delay when we go do the actual movement at the end. But I also don't want to click save later because it stalls you for 1 tick. And even if they made it so it didn't stall you for 1 tick, it would stall you when you go and open it. So instead of... right now it stalls you for 2 ticks. But otherwise, even if they fixed it, it would still stall you for 1 when you open it. As it doesn't have a 0 delay when you open up the interface. It does when you keep it up like this, but it doesn't otherwise. It's something they'll probably address at some point. It's a very minor thing for min-maxing, but they'll probably do something with it eventually. Because I'm pretty sure some people get annoyed when it keeps popping up like that anyway, so they'll probably do something like that. Not because of the min-maxers, but because of people like complaining about something in that regard. And then in doing so, it might actually fix the really efficient way of doing that screen. So they'll probably do a quality of life for it at some point, from a lot of people just mentioning how annoying it is. But in actuality, it'll be like something for max efficiency play, indirectly. So we'll have to wait and see when that quality of life eventually comes. But yeah, it's going to be the longest amount of time since I've started this channel where I wouldn't be doing this channel. Hopefully YouTube algorithm will realize we still exist. Because we've been doing YouTube, I think as of April this year, would have been 8 years? 9 years? I need to go double check for the anniversary. I think it's been 8 years this year. It's either 8 or 9. But in all that time, I have never gone more than 3 weeks without posting anything on the channel. And the one time it was 3 weeks was because I went to like a 1.5 week long trip to go see family. And got snowed in like 3 times over. So like a 1.5 week trip turned into like a 3-week trip almost. Just because I kept getting snowed in. But yeah, now this is going to be 3 months, which will be by far the longest time we've ever not posted anything. We'll always have to post a ton once we come back so YouTube remembers we exist. Hopefully by then they would have released some fun content we can go do too. Maybe for an entire week we could do like a specific stream for stuff. Because during that time they probably would have added like 2 quests, a couple bounties, stuff like that. We could do like 1 per stream or something for like a whole week. We'll be a bit late to the party, but we'll still get around to everything they add in that time. This won't be at release day. Alright, we just need 2/3 of a level, and then we can go do stone, and then that would be every objective we wanted to get done today already. But yeah, today was a pretty tame day as far as what we needed. But it's mostly because I'm trying to slow down a little bit before the tier 9. I just really want to have Forager gloves for pretty much all of tier 9. As it'll be the only opportunity we really get to properly use them. And we definitely plan on using them. Honestly, even post-max, we probably plan on using them depending on what their benefit is. As I'll be using it whenever I do combat in Hope Forest. The most notable 3 I'd be using it on is Triple Potato with the plant, the carnivorous plant. We'd be doing Triple Water Lily with Hair Beast, which will probably far be the most beneficial one. As out of any of the resources, it's the most expensive one you can synergize with combat. As far as how much money it saves you on potions. And the other one we'd be able to do is Death Crow into Wall Plant, which I can actually technically still do at this level range if I really want to. Death Crow is starting to fall off a little bit for XP, but still not at negative 25% yet, so we could still get away with it if we want to. If nothing else, I think I could even use the passive potions on them of the Enrage if I wanted to. The only problem with that is it makes it harder to grab your resources because you have less time in between. And it kind of defeats the point of, you know, AFKing it. Well, we technically could. But those are the main ones we'd be able to get post-max. Not because we'd be getting any Forager XP, but because I actually need the resources for, you know, the best healing pot in the game. The best combat pot in the game, at least for us, because we're Cryo Knight. And it would also end up giving us the potatoes, or hogberries. If you're a hammer mage, you might want to go prioritize the yellow hogberries, but we'll be prioritizing the potato, just because we'll have some amount of extra cooking supplies. Plus, who knows, maybe those 2 dishes will do some kind of good buff in the future once they're edible, or however they're going to be doing that. Because there are 2 dishes that require potato. Cotton chips and mashed potato with sausage, or whatever that thing is called. Potatoes and mash, I think it was called. We have no clue what they do, but we do know that potato is needed for 2. So there's a good chance at least one of those 2 is not like completely useless for consuming later down the line. And worst comes to worst, it's just going to be converted to cooking XP for tier 9. Which obviously is a long ways away, but you know, eventually we'll be happy we did it. Because I can assure you, at tier 9 of Forager, with the current loop we are doing, we are going to grab less than 100 potatoes. I can guarantee you that right now. Unless we do some kind of mega weird loop, we will do under 100 potatoes when we go do the entirety of tier 9 with Forager gloves. So, yeah, that's not good. So, all the extras I'm going to be getting are going to be from carnivorous plants when we do them for combat. When I go and get all the combat levels we need for Hope Port at this point. Which I think we have to do like 6 more full tiers for. So, you know, we'll get a lot of potatoes in 6 tiers. There's like over 300 combat levels we got to do for Chapter 1. And every time we go to carnivorous plant, we'll be doing 3 potatoes in between every kill. While banking everything. And also, no, that also ends up giving us extra hellberries, or hogberries as well. Because the plant actually drops hogberries tier 9. So we get those hogberries combined with the potatoes. So it's not like we're even getting 0 hogberries. We'd still be getting them. There's not as many as if we camped it instead of potato. So we'll still be getting both, which will be nice. 2 resources that we otherwise would normally completely skip. That'd be able to synergize with combat. Like when we go from tier 9 to max, we're skipping it obviously, like when we max Forager. But post-max, there'll be things that will actually be worth grabbing. Because of their combat synergy. Alright, 1 more knowledge point, then we just have a level to go. So after next lap, we only need half a level. Then we go straight over to stone, and we're good to go. And then we spam stone until monument's complete. I believe we need 590 pieces. 590 pieces takes under 2 hours. And with this amount of fear potions, we have enough. I should only need to drink 6 fear potions. I might even check after the 5th, just so we know exactly where we are. So after 5 fear potions, I will check how much we have done. And then by our 6th fear potion, we'll see if we need to do any more. Otherwise, we'll just drink it, as it's not worth trying to bank to get a smaller one. And that'll be the game plan for that. That reminds me too, yeah, that's another reason why fear potions are so bad for Forager. You can just buy you know, you can just buy 3-minute fears from the shop. 3-minute fears is like less than 1 silver per minute of fear. It's really cheap. You do have to chug them a bit, but if you truly had to fall back on them, like they kind of cover everything you need for fear most of the time. Like fear potions might be the worst potion in the game for how much benefit it gets from each tier. As all it gets is an extra 3 minutes, but also gets like an absurdly higher cost for each of those 3 minutes. So one of the biggest benefits of making fear potions is actually the XP that you gain from making the potion, not the actual fear potion itself. Which is really awkward for fear potions, because pretty much never any other potion is like that. Pretty much every other potion, like, the benefits that you're getting from them you actually care about. Fear is like the only one, where every time it moves up another tier, it's like, yeah, it's like nothing extra. Where the cost doesn't justify the extra time. We're pretty much running an 18 or 21 minute one is already the same as running a max 30-minute one. Because drinking 3 per hour compared to 4 per hour is basically the same thing. Or sorry, drinking 3 per hour instead of 2 per hour is basically the same thing. And you can even make the argument for that for the 15-minute one too. Like, you know, 4 compared to 2 is barely any difference. You're saving, what, 10 seconds per hour? At the cost of, like, 30 silver? That ratio just doesn't add up. Okay, that's basically the difference of a tier 4 alchemy potion. A tier 4 fear potion is 15 minutes. A tier 10 is 30, which is double that, of course. But it is like 4x the cost to save what is effectively 10 seconds per hour. It is insane how bad that is. So you basically have a max fear potion at tier 4, essentially. Like if you have level 20 alchemy, or 200 alchemy, you have... Oh, actually technically slightly higher than that. It's like 226 or whatever it is. But you know, if you have the tier 4 fear potion, you basically have a max fear potion, effectively. When you account for costs and everything. And the fact that you're saving like 10 seconds from getting it all the way to tier 10. Compared to a tier 4. Or sorry, tier 9 compared to a tier 4. Yeah, it's really bad. Long story short. It's the worst benefiting potion in the entire game for amount of benefit gained relative to extra costs. The next one that's actually really bad in that regard, oddly enough, is Luck Potion. Luck Potion gains very bad benefit relative to how much its cost keeps going up. Just because it starts at a base value of 5 and only gains +1 per tier, instead of like +2 or something. If it was +2 or something, then that wouldn't quite be the case. But the fact that it starts at 5 and only gains +1 each one makes some of the lower few luck potions almost better to make than any other one, especially if you're already like max alchemy, because you don't care about XP anymore. Like if you're hypothetically level 10 alchemy, or you know, level 500 milestone 10, you would probably only make tier 1, 2, or 3 luck potions ever. The cost of making the max 1 is just too high relative to its benefit. Obviously, it'd be worth processing the stuff if you got it from Botanist directly, because it's free. But if you had to buy it from a shop, I don't think you're making higher than like a tier 3 or 4 luck potion, because it probably has the best overall ratio to cost to number of charges that you'd be getting. Like, you'd never even make the highest tier 1 unless you happen to have all the supplies for free from Botanist. It's just too costly relative to how little extra benefit you get. And there are a handful of potions that are like that. Because one of the other reasons why we're doing 9-minute enrages. 9-minute enrages not only are a few silver each, cheaper each. Like if you bought all the supplies, I think it's almost like 6 silver each, but if you only get one, it's like, you know, like 2 or 3 or so. But not only that, but 9-minute timer is actually better than 10-minute due to the 10-minute ground timer. So a lot of times you'll actually get more value from using an 9-minute enrage off of tier 8 than you would from the other one. I'm still going to be getting a bunch of them at tier 10 in case they ever do fix that, though. Because they're still worth making, of course, if we can get all the supplies. It's just any difference between the two is going to start adding up really quick, because I think it's like 10 silver each. Whereas at the previous tier, if I'm missing some, it's only like 8 point something or whatever it is. Like, we're saving almost 2 silver per piece for what's, you know, only a 1-minute difference. Though, of course, the XP that you get at the level range, too, but... like, the disparity is quite a bit smaller compared to some other things in the game. I guess that's one thing that's okay about the Fear Potion, I guess, in that regard. If I'm not mistaken, the supplies for Fear Potion should be pretty low if it follows the same pattern that, that Forager does. No, maybe it doesn't. Oh, maybe it's the luck potions they actually made lower. Interesting. Let me go check. Do I have an alchemy screen? Do I have, where's alchemy? Because I think they did update, this page. I'm gonna check something real quick, if it'll ever load. Hello? Load? Thank you. What am I looking for here? I want to see, like, tier 9. The difference between a fear and a luck. Because you grab them both in the same chapter. So, fear is 23.5 if you bought everything. A luck, if you bought everything, is what? 28. So, yeah, the luck is a little bit more expensive. But barely. And this is what I was mentioning with the fears, well, or the enrage. Is one of the cheapest potions. Like, in this category. Oddly enough, the healing one is the cheapest. Interesting. I never actually realized that earlier. Not counting the mines one. The mines one is, like, mega cheap because it uses 1 ingredient instead of 2. That's in, like, a category of its own. But of the ones that do require 2 ingredients, yeah, enrage is the cheapest if you need to go get the secondary. Or the second cheapest. And the absolute cheapest is, oddly enough, healing potion. I did not know that. Is it because the kelp is worth, like, nothing? Yeah, the kelp is worth, oh no, it says 11. What's the other piece then? Well, plant must be under, like, 10 then. Interesting. Oh, that's not ideal. If we do get Death Crow synergy, I didn't realize that. It's actually really low. You're only getting, like, 10 silver per wall plant at max level. It's not amazing, but if we're already getting it for free while doing combat, it's still worth it, of course. But yeah, I didn't realize it was that low. I knew it was lower, I didn't realize it was that low, though. Well, it was like a bit higher than the enrages, but apparently not. And that means the other one that one other creature drops is also kind of low. Because they end up dropping pondweed, which is one of the other cheaper things you get from all Forager. So the only one that kind of drops something that's worth something is the carnivorous plants that drop the hogberries. That and those goblin chieftains that drop the untradeable one. Which technically has a high value, but also technically has, you know, the value of it's not buyable from shop. I keep saying untradeable, but I mean not buyable from shop. Which for a lone wolf is basically untradeable. You know what I mean. But yeah, the one that I mentioned earlier of the lily is still our highest though. It's 13.1 silver per each. It's not that much further from a bank. Like, compared to wall plant, it's almost the same distance, especially since we'd just be grabbing the double spawn right there. It's like an extra 3 silver each, so even though here beasts we are neutral to, they do yellow damage, which is kind of annoying for our class. It's one of the few instances where if all faction gear existed, we'd want to be running Hammer Mage armor, just for the higher yellow resistant, or would it be Guardian armor? Whatever one has higher yellow resist, because Cryonite armor is really bad for it. It's like the only instance that is kind of unfortunate. Like, out of our defenses, the only one up below 1,000 right now. And like 20 or 30 stats might not seem like much, but it makes a huge difference on an enemy like that. With how the numbers work. It's basically like if we gave the enemy a plus 20 boost potion, effectively. Which, when you put it that way, sounds a little bit stronger. Especially since they're hitting for their colored damage almost every attack, if not every attack. Because the way that stats are working currently in Brighter Shores is it's basically looking at your disparity between your number roll and their number roll. It's like how RuneScape works for accuracy, but it does it invisibly, so you never have to see it. But in Brighter Shores, it's using it for the disparity between those two numbers basically comes out to your overall DPS. And that's one of the main things it's looking at. So 20, durability might not seem like much of a difference. But even just one number difference starts to, start adding up quite multiplicitly as far as how much extra value they end up getting. Like something like 100 difference. I'm not even sure if we could kill it with like 2 healing pots. It'd actually be that big of a disparity. Like 2 healing pots might still be a sketchy fight if we were like 100 down compared to an enemy. It's one of the reasons why you're pretty squishy whenever you're in like full tier 1 armor. Which luckily for once we're not. But if you're in like full tier 1, it is very noticeable how much more damage you take compared to if you were in like, full tier 3 or, some setup like this. It's basically the equivalent of full tier 3, almost tier 4. But some of it's underleveled. But not by that much. Like if Armor Maker was out and we didn't get better drops, we would literally run what we're running right now pretty much until like tier 25. Before we'd upgrade it again. It's something else that when around the time Armor Maker comes out, they got to consider as well. When they go at all the skill trees and special attacks and everything for 4-star weapons, they really got to consider something at the time that Armor Maker comes out, or slightly before, so it's already initialized in the game, that makes wearing 4-star armor worth it. Otherwise, no one is ever going to bother making 4-star armor in the history of the game, other than for like absurdly important stuff like PvP or whatever else. Because for most casual enemies, 4-star armor is so absurdly overkill. So we'd have to get it like some kind of set effect or some kind of like per item, extra bonus or something for 4 stars. Or maybe just the enhancements that come into Chapter 6 would justify it, I guess. Because you likely wouldn't be able to put the enhancements on a 3-star. 4-star should be the lowest piece of equipment you could ever put enhancements on. Is why they're untradeable. Because that's something I kind of forget about sometimes. 4-star equipment is not tradable. Obviously, it doesn't matter to us because we can't trade. But you actually can't sell it to another player. Actually, it doesn't say anywhere here that you can't. I was trying to see if I could somewhere there. But you actually can't sell it to another player. 3 stars and below, you can. So 3 stars is the main trading material that most trading-enabled people will have. As well as if boss drops drop like any kind of mat for something or something. But otherwise, tier 3s are like the main ones that you trade as crafting material. But tier 4 and assumably tier 5 are not tradable. Tier 4 definitely isn't. Assumably tier 5 isn't. And this is likely due to whatever the enhancement system will end up doing ultimately in Chapter 6. Unless they do end up deciding to go back on that. But I think the main reason they're doing that is to make it so you actually kind of have to train the skill to go get those enhancements. It reminds me a little bit of what they did for summoning. Or I guess technically more recently, even though I've never played it specifically. Probably what Invention was like in RuneScape 3. Where you gain like permanent buffs to stuff and stuff like that, kind of like that. But as well as just like any other enhancement system in any other game. Or just put a bunch of enhancements on gear and then you're good to go. How many we'll be able to do, what those enhancements are, how it'll work, what material you need, do you need a certain level to do them, all that kind of stuff we have no clue on. But, you know, obviously other games have had a enhancement system of some kind. Even Old School RuneScape was considering adding it with Shamanism, which, if there was a pull for it, I would actually say no. I won't mind it in Brighter Shores, but I feel like it's too late to try to integrate it into something like Old School RuneScape. It just wouldn't fit Old School RuneScape. So if they ever try bringing Shamanism, I am gonna, like, member up every account I can to go vote no. But Brighter Shores, I would actually enjoy having, you know, basically what is Shamanism, aka the enhancement system that's likely coming in Chapter 6. Because it's still early enough in Brighter Shores' life cycle that they can get away with something that drastic. Whereas I personally feel like Old School RuneScape can't really get away with that with how everything's set up. If you could start putting like 5 modifiers on literally every piece of gear you ever have. Because one thing Old School RuneScape does really well is visual identity on gear, which would be completely destroyed if you could just add like 5 enhancements on everything or something, or however that would work. Whereas Brighter Shores can still do that, especially since most gear doesn't have that much identity at the moment, nor would it by like Chapter 6. So it's still early enough that they can get away with something like that. And it can still be integrated in a way that makes sense. Oh, gosh, I keep missing that thing because you can't click around this. I hate that thing's hitbox so much. I keep forgetting to interface walk because I keep dropping it there instead of interface walking. It's not too big a deal, though. It wastes like 1 second or so. Alright, third level to go. At this point, all we need is 1 more knowledge point. Dump it into that, and then we just got to do a little under 2 hours of stone. I'll do 5 fear potion, and then we'll check how many stone we have then. And then if we still need any, we'll run 1 last fear potion to grab whatever we need. And then we should be good to go. But yeah, then after today, it's going to be a while before we do another Brighter Shore stream. Because after today, our next Brighter Shore stream is on Monday, where we're going to be doing smithing. And the next Forager stream probably wouldn't be until Wednesday. Where we go repair whatever Forager level we need by then. Since we'll be in a little bit of a passive debt by then. That might also be the day that we get tier 9, potentially. Otherwise, I'll try to aim to get it on that Monday when we do the smithing stuff. I'm just not sure where it's going to align. His full week schedule at this point is next 4 days after today, Slay Aspire 2. It's going to be the launch of the game, so I just kind of want to go crazy on it initially and then, you know, go back to Brighter Shore stuff. Monday, we'll be then doing smithing, because smithing bounties are coming out. So, you know, we'll be doing the new minigame-like-esque thing, where you have to go repair the little puzzle thingy. We'll be doing all the new bounty tasks. We'll be training smithing at least 3 levels, if not more. Then on Tuesday, I got a dentist appointment. I'm just probably going to skip the stream that day. Plus, I'll probably cover some Gems of War stuff, because that's probably the big update there. So later in the day, I might do a stream. It just won't be for Brighter Shores. And then Wednesday should be our next week's Wednesday. Like, you know, 1 week from today. Should be the return of the Forager grind, where we go repair any kind of knowledge debt or whatever else we have by then. Probably Milestone 9 if we didn't already do that by then. And then we just got to stall like several more days until, you know, Forager gloves come out that following Monday. That's pretty much the game plan for the next week then. So next Forager grind day probably won't be till a week from today. But we kind of need a little bit of break from spamming it so much. We have done it 23 days straight at this point. And there's a reason why I generally don't power level a skill. Because I just love switching from, like, piece of content to piece of content. I'm not a big fan of just camping something like this for a very, very, very long amount of time. We're kind of forced to just because they keep buffing Forager over and over and over again, like, every week. Most notably the Venture slot, of course. Every other buff is kind of irrelevant. That was the only one we cared about. Everything else is just extra. I'm not sure why they keep buffing even more. As if it wasn't already strong enough. But, yeah. So, they kind of forced us to have to do that. But then after that, we're going to go back to our normal gameplay loops for, you know, how we play, which is, you know, kind of do a little bit of everything. As well as prioritizing whatever the update stuff is. Which is pretty much how we're going to be playing a lot of our account, I guess, going forward. Is basically just prep for every update. Our two alt accounts prep for whatever the updates are. Our main account preps for whatever the updates are, but more towards the end game or late game kind of leveling. And just kind of do it like that. While in the background, still trying to align for our alchemy push. As we're still trying to align for the go get a max alchemy alignment. But without burning our entire money stack. But also keeping every potion along the way. I'm trying to align that grind for September of this year, ideally. September or October. Around then is probably when I'm pushing 500 alchemy. Assuming they don't rework alchemy for like the 4th time. But assuming there isn't a complete overhaul of alchemy, I believe September or October should be when we can push for 500 alchemy. It'll be one of the last times that we just mega push a skill to max. Just because how important it is. I'll probably offset a little bit with merchant because I need to go get those grapes and everything else anyways. So to some degree it's going to be a 500 alchemy and 500 merchant grind at the same time. Just because I do need them to be aligned due to how the ventures connect with each other. It saves us a lot of money on the way to max alchemy. Also giving me the rest of the boost potions we need for chapter 4. For, you know, detective, leatherworker, even merchant itself. Even though merchant's pretty quick, you know, making it 10% or more quicker is even nicer. With all those boost potions and everything. Hello, Jits! Welcome, welcome, my ball's been well. T-minus 1 day before the Slay the Spire 2 grind. My plan for Slay the Spire 2 over the next 4 days is tomorrow, we try all the classes for the first time ever. I'm relatively blind when it comes to what the game even is as far as all the updates, because I have not been looking at any of the spoilers as far as what cards or anything they're coming in. So we'll learn everything on the fly, see how that ends up going. Try to win once with every single character on just base difficulty or whatever we'd have to do for that to start, you know, getting the Ascension or whatever else. Not sure how they're setting it up. But then after that, we're going to go for max difficulty on, or, you know, push for max difficulty on whatever our favorite character is. Which last time was the Silent, but I don't know, we'll see which one we go for this time. Because they got at least 5 characters we got to choose from. So we have a lot more selection than before. But I'm most likely just going to do it on the Silent. They really like damage over time builds in a turn-based game. There's some really funny things you could do with it. Not sure if they've nerfed it into the ground, though, but we'll find out. He's had quite a few fun win conditions. But also had a lot of really useless cards that hopefully are more fun in Slay the Spire 2. That were either just completely removed or drastically reworked. Also, it should go a lot better than Darkest Dungeon 2. As much as I did enjoy the first playthrough of Darkest Dungeon 2, I saw literally no reason at all to play more than one playthrough. Or Slay the Spire 2, you know, we could beat that game like 100 times and there'll still be replay value. Alright, let's drink an 11% here. And then we just need one more lap after this one, and that should be the level. Like 1 or 2 more laps after this. Combined with our knowledge point. And then we got to do a little under 2 hours of just stone into Milestone. And we'll have fear, so we don't need to worry about any kind of extra combat. And we'll be good to go. And then that would be the third to last monument upgrade. As well as the second to last that gives a fishing upgrade. But this one's pretty underwhelming. It's only sardines. The final one's good, though. The final upgrade's salmon. There is a 6 level range if you skip botanist, which we're likely skipping. Where you can end up doing salmon. Otherwise, it's only 3 levels. But in the case that you do get to use it for 7, it's honestly not that bad. So be able to get those better fish, or, you know, more fish there would be nice. Especially because the salmon pools are set up really weirdly. I'm actually curious where it's going to add the +1. Because currently it's divided 3 to 1. What I'm most curious about is obviously the 3 pool is going to move to 4. But where are they going to move the +1 salmon? Because if they put it into the 1 pool, it would then be divided up 4 to 2. Or are they going to put it into the 2 pool, in which case it would be divided 4, 3, 1. I'm actually not sure which one they're going to put it into. Technically, it wouldn't matter too much, because if you were, let's say, hypothetically camping salmon only, you would just go into the 4 pool and then into the 2 pool. So it wouldn't matter if that 2 pool had 2 or 3, since you would just go for those and ignore the other pool most likely. So in an ideal scenario, they would put the +1 into the 2 pool to make it a 3 rather than into the 1 pool to make it a 2. As regardless where they put that fish in that other room, you would only ever need to go to the current 2 pool, regardless if it's 2 or 3 with the +1. Because the other +1 is definitely making the 3 move to 4, so you'd be taking 4 and then 2 or 4 and then 3. And in either scenario, it'll work out nicely. Because right now it's really awkward because you have to do 3 into 2. Which is really awkward for trying to fill up your inventory in a quick way. It's probably the most annoying fish to catch in that regard, if you were camping it only. Normally I do it with Bell Plant Synergy. But if you weren't doing Bell Plant Synergy and you were just doing salmon only, they are really awkward to get without that final upgrade. Just because of where the other fish is just too far away to bother justify going for. So even though there's technically like a weird triple pole setup, only 2 poles are ever worth using. The one that currently has 3 and the one that currently has 2. So it really comes down to where does that other +1 go. Which someone probably knows, but you'd basically have to have monument completed to know. I don't currently know. Someone with monument completed probably knows where that +1 went. I don't know, we'll find out when we get there. In like a couple weeks from now at this rate. In like 2 or 3 weeks from now, we'll know. It's not that relevant though. But it would be somewhat helpful in the future to kind of know where it is. But salmon's not that big of a priority to go for. At most, we'll need it for 6 cooking levels or whatever it was. Worst case scenario, we need it for 3. Yeah, that's the level range right there. Salmon cake until the end of 0 or 50, however you want to look at it. That's the only time you have to do salmon cake. I guess maybe a little bit more beyond that for bounties if you want to. But there's only a 3 or 6 level range you got to do it for. 3 if you are doing botanist, and 6 if you don't do botanist. Alright, it should be the last lap. As far as finishing out this inventory. And then on to the stone zone. And yeah, we'll get to make our cash stack a little bit higher. We still got gypped about 50 gold from the transition that happened that one other week. But I still never gotten a reply to the email as well. But, yeah, we lost like 50 gold. But, the gold stack's still doing okay. We're at like 350 right now. Still never had a platinum. And at the current rate that we're playing, we're probably never going to have a platinum anytime soon. Realistically, if we actually cared about a platinum, the best way to go would be merchant into... Not leatherworker anymore, unfortunately. But merchant into something. Maybe even detective? I don't know. Does detective make good money these days? I know merchant does. I feel like detective still only caps out at about like 2 gold an hour, roughly. Give or take a little. I haven't really done it a lot since the new format, so I'm actually not sure. All I know is merchant definitely makes more than detective. If you're just looking for like pure cash. with like no input costs at all. Because if we were to max merchant, what is the about how much money we'd make? Let's see. If I was to break that down, we need almost 200 levels. Yeah, it should be about 500 gold. Give or take a little. We should make roughly, assuming we put all of our knowledge into not merchant. Assuming we put all knowledge into, you know, like smithing or stonemason or something else, we should make around 400 to 500 gold getting max merchant from our current level. Assuming all merchant, that also assumes no ventures, which we would be doing. Maybe it's close to like 300-ish then, like 300 to 400 gold. That's assuming we do ventures where applicable for alchemy, but we don't put any knowledge points in the merchant. If we did that, I think we make about 300 to 400 gold profit doing the rest of the merchant grind, roughly. Which is not bad. It's basically double our cash stack. We'd basically 2x whatever our cash stack is right now. If I was to do merchant, all knowledge points on production skills rather than merchant, while still doing the ventures where applicable to get some alchemy supplies, that should be a solid 300 gold, if not a bit higher. So if we ever did want that money infusion, we just have to go do merchant for like a month. Or a couple weeks even. The only problem is I kind of burn out on merchant after doing it for like too much in a row. It's because it requires a lot of thinking. Compared to like any other skill. Like every other skill, you just find what loop you want to do and you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. Merchant is very much not that. It is so different compared to pretty much every other skill in the game. Like every run you do will be drastically different. There are some similarities as far as how you have to tackle some things, but especially with the new rarity system where you have to put into account 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times bounties, which throws even more of a wrench into whatever your plan is. Because now bounties that would have previously never been worth going for now magically become like your best in slot task at a given time. Like, if you see a 4 times turn-in for something that's bad, you gotta do it. It's too good to not do. Like, you have to route it in somehow. It's too much value to not take. Which, honestly, out of any system that's gotten a rarity system, Merchant ends up using it the best. Everything about Merchant is just so perfect. Also, why am I grabbing these? I technically don't need to do this. I'm heading back to a bank. I guess we'll go bank route over here since we're routing weirdly. Because it's time to go to the stone zone. And there's all of our upgrades. We can now get the sardines once we go finish all the stones by the end of the stream. We have our AFK for the next few days. And obviously the stone that we're about to go do right now as soon as I go bank. So let me just grab all this, head to the bank over there, and start up the stone. And then we got to do stone for about 2 hours then. I should be just shy of 2 hours. Basic game plan is I'll drink 5 fear potions. And then after we drink the 5th one has been completed, we will go check our monument, put everything in, and then go from there. That should give us a good idea about how close we are. And let me go bank all this junk. And yeah, let's go to the monument. It is time. The 4th to last upgrade. We're getting so close, yet so far. Because there's, what, 20 upgrades you got to do? And after today, we'll only have 3 more. Unfortunately, those 3 more will take quite a bit of grind to get to, but we only have 3 more after today. Alright, good. These have a little bit of a bigger hitbox compared to the previous one. That's nice. They're more triangular. I just drank an XP pot here for the one-time bonus. Normally we wouldn't drink one here, but figured we'd get a little bit extra there. Not that big a deal, though. But yeah, we're just going to be doing stone only. I'm not grabbing any hog berries or anything like that. We're just grabbing 4 stone, 4 stone, 4 stone, 4 stone, you know, to keep doing that till 4 inventory, bank, repeat. We'll grab some few resources at the tail ends and drop them onto the ground just for some free XP since we have to wait anyways. But beyond that, yeah, we should be good to go, though. I'll drink the fear potion right here in case he's standing right outside. Actually, no, I'll walk in some. I think we can get away with drinking it, like, right here or so. Alright, now we move in. But yeah, game plan is drink 5 fear potions. Once the 5th fear potion has expired, I'll go put all the stone into the monument. And then from there, we see if we need any more, which we should need slightly more. But we'll do it after 5 fear potions of 21 minute. That should bring us pretty close, if not to the exact amount we need. So we'll use that as our measurement of time. And if we overshoot a little bit, it's fine. We just sell them, I guess. They don't sell for much, but, you know, they sell for more than nothing. They sell for like 3 silver each, if you had to sell the excess. It's not crazy high, but, you know, if we have like 50 excess, you know, a little bit of free cash. 150 silver. So yeah, we're just going to go for 5 fear potions. After the 5th one has expired, we will then proceed to just spam out the stone into the monument then. And then that should either be full completion or pretty close. And that's the game plan. And that one unlock our sardines, which we don't care about too much. Which it says technically we have it right now, but I don't believe you get it until the stone monument has been completed. Or, you know, until we finish the tier. I wonder if it does an animation for that too, if it shows the area of them spawning in. I don't think it will, but that'd be kind of cool if it did. Where if it like pans over to that room over there being like, oh yeah, the sardines are done. I feel like it wouldn't, just because that's not the way that the game is loaded in. But that'd be funny if it does. I also gotta remember, the first knowledge point we get, I need to go put on anemones. So we could use that for later today. When I go grab dinner. As well as for the next 2 days until the 2 times have been completely depleted. As this will be one of the few times where we're going to be depleting the full 2 times of something. Not because this potion's extra good, just because my schedule with other stuff is going to make it so it aligns perfectly for these 2 potions. These are used for 13% Hope Port AFKs. Realistically, I would use these at the dead zones at Alchemy, most likely. So we're in the Mega Dead Zone. Actually, I know exactly where I'm going to be using it already. The exact point that we will be using it is on this potion right here at every given tier. We'll be using it on the EXP mining potion, AFK. The main reason being is we should be able to get this from combat when we go do combat some. But the other reason why we'd be doing this, or we could just buy from the shop, it's not that expensive. Since it only requires the 1 ingredient instead of 2. Should be cheaper. But the other reason why we want to do it is it's right in the middle of the main dead zone that we need to go clear. As since we're going to be doing alchemy without botanists, we got a bit of a dead zone from 26 to 40. So there's like a 14 level dead zone there. So if I can use that passive to get through the dead zone a little bit quicker, that'd be ideal. Which is exactly what we're going to be using it for. As there's about 15 levels of just dead space in between that we need to fill with something. And if we use the passive potion on the mining potion in between there, that's not going to fully cover it, but it will help offset some of the dead zone that we otherwise have to knowledge point spam. Oh yeah, this is a new thing. I don't think we've had this since we've had monument pieces. I can grab bounties here if we want to. There's nothing good here. I say that. I actually do want these 2. I lied. We're going to have to catch Gennards there later anyways. So, you know, I'm going to grab those. Why not? But yeah, that's something new that we haven't had at any previous cycle. There's those fishing bounties that we got last week. This is actually the first time that we're doing stone since then. We had jade since then, but not stone. This is the first time that we've had stone since monument pieces. But yeah, both of them can do the board. This one gets it for the wild path when you bank. And of course, the jade gets it literally in the room that the jades are in. They're both only a few tiles away if you ever want to check them. But yeah, these are actually the ones we want to see because I don't want to turn in my Gennards. I want to only catch them and keep them in my bank. I do not want to turn them in for like 0 money. So getting a task like this is great because it's just completely free value, as I plan to only catch them anyways and then bank them. I don't plan to turn any in. So this is free XP when I go and catch them later, because that's something I'm doing regardless, even if we don't have a task for them. Well, if we can get a task for them here and there, this is free value later. Free knowledge points, free little bit of money. And we don't need to turn them in, so just pure value. Though we can still take the turn-in tasks. I could just do it 6 times, get the little bit of value we get from it, and then abandon it. It's not as good as a catch-only task, but it's better than having none at all. Yeah, I can't believe this grind's actually getting pretty close to the end. Feels like only a few weeks ago we just started it. Because we did. But it's nice to know that pretty much any skill in the game, if we truly dedicated a month to it, we can get it done. I don't think there's a single skill in the game, well, other than some production skills if we don't have alignment on it. Like alchemy, obviously we can't go do right now. But aside from the production skills where you need some alignment on some stuff like alchemy and cooking, I don't think there's a single skill other than those in the entire game that if we set out for, we could just get it maxed in 1 month. I think the only one that's currently an exception to that, because how I want to train is going to be drastically different, is Botanist. So now counting cooking, alchemy, and botanist, I think any one skill we choose in the entire game now, well, and I guess combat because it's weird. So other than, we're getting a long exception list here, but other than combat, cooking, chef, and botanist, I think if we choose any other skill in the entire game and we dedicated 1 month to it, 100% it'd be a free, we could get it maxed within a month. I don't think there's a single skill that's not within that striking range. There's even some chapters we could almost get done in a month, honestly. Like chapter, if I was to, with smithing bounties and stonemason bounties soon, get to tier 8, I think within 1 month we could push all tier 8 mines of bitumen to tier 10, or, you know, to max. Because they have really good synergy together. And we're going to have a lot of the bones already pre-banked from Forager. I have to go out of our way to get a few spares here and there, but plus we'd probably be passiving that a lot during it. This would be one of the better passive targets. But, yeah, there's one of the few things where I think we could actually do the whole chapter in a month, let alone a single skill in the chapter. Especially if they start doing some of that synergy within the chapter. Like if mining gets some kind of boost or something similar. Like if mining gets the equivalent of whatever Forager gloves do, that'd be a great time to push that chapter. So we basically get Forager gloves for mining at some point in the near future. At some point we probably will, probably no time soon though. Could be months before we see something like that, but you never know. But at this point it seems inevitable that we would eventually see something like that. More so a matter of when than if. Well, whatever Forager gloves does, but for mining and for botanist and, you know, for other skills like that, probably even for woodcutter. Obviously we don't know what it does, but whatever it does, having some kind of equivalence for that for most gathering skills is very likely to eventually happen. What skill will feed into which, we don't currently know. Because it almost seems like they're picking at random. They're not literally picking at random, but you know what I mean. Like, some of them don't have the most direct synergy. Like mining going into leatherworker. Like, that's definitely not the first combination you would think of when thinking of things that should go together. If anything, I would have thought it would be like carpenter or woodcutter or something. Because most of the stuff there is wooden. But instead you're mining a gem that you trade to a trader that then gives you the benefit of the other stuff. It's just a little bit of a weird synergy, but it's fine. It's just not the first thing you would think of as far as like things that should properly connect. Like Carpenter would probably make the one that would make the most sense. The only problem is Carpenter would make the most sense for a lot of things, I guess. So that could become problematic. Where Carpenter and Builder feels like the right one for a lot of them. Though I do have to say, Leatherworker does feel the right one for Forager gloves though, if nothing else. Like that one just makes a lot of sense. But the mining one feeding into Leatherworker makes, like, the least sense so far. Like Forager to fishing does, just because how connected the skills are. Obviously Leatherworker to Forager gloves do, because you're literally making leather gloves. But out of any of them so far, I would say that mining going to Leatherworker is the least... It makes the least amount of sense out of any of them so far. Like, I don't mind that it does. I'm actually glad they're doing that. From a gameplay perspective, it is perfect for our level range and our current needs in the near future. However, from a realistic standpoint, it just seems weird that it's like, oh yeah, you go mine a gem, then trade it in, they just happen to upgrade your stations. Just a weird kind of loop. It's like one of the last skills you would think that would upgrade specifically Leatherworker. Like, obviously, you'd expect that to improve, like, stonemason or smithing or something. Nope, Leatherworker. But yeah, we already know how many stone pieces we need. I didn't check it since, but if I remember correctly, it's 590 on the dot. And I believe we can grab 300 something of these per hour. I'm actually not sure the exact number. It's like slightly over 300. Which is why I said earlier, we should probably go check once we do 5 full potions. As by then we would have probably done a little over 600, maybe even 700. And it should be aligned pretty nicely with how many we need. These were doing 21 less minutes than that. Which of course brings that number down to, you know, hopefully 590. That's the goal. Or at least the hope. And at this point we got 4.5 more potions to go, though we kind of just started, so we still got a ways to go. It's gonna be pretty much be most of the stream. And then the gameplay for the next several days is basically just passive like crazy. Fully deplete the anemone, fully deplete the sprays. Might be forced to have to do the maggots and beetles just a little bit. And then we get to our scrap metal, and then by then, yeah, we're pretty much good to go. We'll be at tier 9. And then hopefully by then Forager gloves will just be a few days away or so. Or several days away. We're really banking a lot on those Forager gloves. Watch it be like nothing at all. But if it's anything like how strong the Forager to fishing update was, it should be pretty solid. Being able to infinite loop fish is insanely strong compared to not being able to infinitely loop fish. It's a really big buff. So you can only imagine what kind of improvements every other skill will get from the similar mechanic. I might be able to grab another bone while we're over there. I'm gonna grab 2. I think we could get away with a 3rd. Just grab the closest 2 normally, though. I guess if we use the knowledge point, we'll grab 2, but otherwise, I think we can get away with grabbing 3. Otherwise, we're just standing there for a few seconds doing nothing. I do wish they would make these respawns a little bit quicker. They actually changed it at one point, seemingly nerfing them at one point. I'm not sure why. Because these do spawn a little bit too slow relative to where the bank is. Especially with whatever Forager Gloves improvement might make it even quicker. Unless they're reworking all the respawns then again for Forager. Which is going to be a nightmare for some of the routing. Is one of the reasons I wanted to wait on Forager Gloves and everything. Is we might have to completely nuke some of our routes to figure out how they will work with Forager Gloves. As they are likely to do something, either harvesting quicker, doing doubles, doing something that will just make some of the routes just really weird. As far as either the timing on it or how you have to like adjust route it. I don't have to wait and see. It's one of the reasons I want to do most of tier 9 with the gloves. As it'll be one of the first times we actually get to see a new gameplay loop for Forager. Because otherwise tier 9 is just going to be exactly what we did at tier 8. Like, honestly, it's going to be like almost no different. It's why I want to get Forager gloves. Just so we can actually see, you know, different setup and everything. Go over out all the stuff, just mess with everything with Forager gloves. Or at least all the ones that we can with tier 5 or tier 6 gloves. Because otherwise tier 9 is just going to be almost a full repeat of tier 8. But the main exception being that there's a few things we'd prioritize a bit more. Like rack, oddly enough, I would get way more of in tier 9 compared to any other tier. I'd probably get more tier 9 than every other rack we have banked for every other tier combined. There's a few weird things we do at tier 9, but otherwise the gameplay loop would just be the same without Forager Gloves, which is why we're waiting for them. And because they're so close. Like, if they were months away, I probably wouldn't bother doing that. But at this point, they're only like a week and a half away. They're pretty much already here. Like, the wait is so short. If that was like a month and a half, I probably wouldn't bother, but it's only a week and a half. Oh yeah, I remembered. We need to go do this. I keep forgetting about this. This allows us to get the other monument shard. For pretty much the rest of the stream, I need to keep this tab down. Only problem is I don't have this one hotkeyed, the fear potion. Luckily, we only need to drink it 4 more times, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. But the other 2 potions I have hotkeyed, so we can keep all this down. The reason I need this is to be able to hit this monument shard. Having both windows open makes it so I can't get the angle for it. But with this whole side tab closed, we can get the angle. It just makes it easier to click on everything in the room preemptively. I'm gonna grab the 3 hogberries. I feel like we could almost go for a 4th, but I'm pretty sure we'd have to wait on the spawn. I'd rather have to wait here than be slightly late to it. Since these hogberries we don't really care about at all. We're just dropping them on the ground. I do wish there was one more storage rift somewhat in this area to make some of them better to bank, though. Even in this room itself. That are at a certain monument level, put like a storage rift in the monument room towards the northeast section where the other bank is or something. But I feel like there's like one storage rift missing in this area. These water lilies are kind of bad to bank. And hogberries are kind of bad to bank unless you're cycling all the way back to beach. Ever since they moved bell plant plus nettle to the other area, it makes going into this area really bad when doing wide looping. But they never did a storage rift in that area to compensate for how much worse those material are. Luckily, stone isn't really affected by it since, you know, the banks aren't that far. But hogberries and water lilies are probably the 2 most affected, and somewhat potato. But mostly hogberry and water lily are the 2 most affected resources in Forager from this changes. Where they moved nettle and, what was the other one? Nettle and, not rack, what was the other one? Bell plant. And ended up moving nettle and bell plant. Water lily and hogberry suffered the most from it. Which are both the 2 combat boost potions as well. Which are some of the better things as well. Which is kind of unfortunate. The water lily for the blue one and the hogberry for the yellow one. There's really awkward to do in the current state of the game. As a lot of the routing that they originally had just got nuked when the other 2 got moved. Because wide circles is basically non-existent anymore in Forager. They basically completely removed a form of Forager route. As half the nodes that you would otherwise grab on it are no longer there. That first fear potion's almost expired. Also, we're still grinding the old school RuneScape in the background, by the way. He's on a vine right now. Let's see. Can we get it up? Come on, there it is. There it is. But yeah, he's still on the thing. Honestly, we're getting close to maxing out woodcutting. Almost at 200 million woodcutting XP, which is kind of funny. I've never once maxed, like, mega maxed the skill in that game. Nor do I plan to. I do plan to stop woodcutting soon. The only reason I've been doing it is it's so AFK. I've been like AFKing in the background for honestly pretty much a year now. Like with anything I do around the house, it's like, oh yeah, let me just go click on something and stuff like that. And it's something we're going to be doing again soon for Brighter Shores now that we can use the AFK potion. As those enraged potions are, you know, we can do 7-minute AFK, 8-minute AFK, 9-minute AFK. Like, can literally run out to the store, come back, and you'd still be AFKing sometimes if we go quick enough. Because those enraged potions are going to be nice. I probably won't do that when we do Slay the Spire 2, but you know, when I'm doing other stuff at the house and other similar things, it'll be pretty easy to do it with. The Slay the Spire 2 is just going to require too much attention for me to AFK Old School RuneScape or this game. But there will be some instances where I'll have like an Old School RuneScape tab, a Brighter Shores tab while I'm actually working on something or something else. Like I'll be doing like 3 or 4 things at once. Because we'll have like the 7, 8, 9-minute Enrage Potion AFKs for Brighter Shores. We'll have a tree or whatever else we do for RuneScape. And then we'll have, you know, whatever we're actually doing. As well as I'll probably have like the TV on in the background as just a distraction. We'll get the mega multitask in there. But yeah, currently Brighter Shore's best AFK is 10 minutes long within the Rage Potion, but it's tied to your alchemy level. Otherwise, the best you can get is like 3 minutes or something. It's way better than Old School RuneScape's version of the same thing, though. We were doing the math on it as well. In Old School RuneScape, you can bank 16 hours per hour of their version of an Enrage Potion, but they only last for 6 minutes. And I did the math for Brighter Shores. Counting the full process of everything, you can bank 16 and a half hours at tier 8, and you can bank 18.3 repeating at tier 9. And that's counting everything. That's counting gathering both resources for free and the making of the production of the potion time. Whereas if you count that for RuneScape, I think it goes down to like 15 or 14 hours or something instead of 16 when you're accounting for like every factor. It's just harder to do in RuneScape because it's not as straightforward, because some of it's luck based that you need for it and stuff. But yeah, it's like 14 to 16 hours per hour of AFK, but it's only 6 minutes at a time for Old School RuneScape. Whereas the same thing in Brighter Shores, you get 9 and 10 minutes at a time, where the 9 minutes are 16.5 per hour that you can make per hour, counting everything. And the max leveled ones are 10 minutes for 18 and 0.3 hours per hour of AFK, which is really good. Like, really, really good. It's like over 10% better than Old School RuneScapes, while also being 50% more AFK. The only big downside being the knowledge nerf on it. But you get 10% of them more made per hour than Old School RuneScape, and you get 50% more duration in Old School RuneScape. Not sure what it comes out to in RuneScape 3. But at least compared to Old School RuneScape's version, it's 10% more produced per hour, and it's completely free in Brighter Shores. And it is 50% longer duration in Brighter Shores. With the only downside being you do only get 1/3 knowledge rate rather than 100% knowledge rate. That's a small price to pay for how good they are and how AFK they are. And of course, you get all the free alchemy XP from it too, which is another thing to factor in. But I do hope we get more AFK options beyond just Enrage Potion for Brighter Shores. Enrage Potions are a step in a really good direction, though. I just really wish they didn't have a negative knowledge on them, like they were at the beginning of the beta. I'm not sure what made them do it. Because they said they got like a post that like was sent to them that convinced them to do that. Yet I have sent several things to them and they've replied to me once ever, even acknowledging that something was sent. And I've acted on almost nothing I've ever mentioned to them ever. So I'm kind of at the point where I should just not even bother. Yeah, somehow someone sent a post to them that they actually acted upon and made like the worst change ever to Enrage Potions. Because I don't think Enrage Potions would be that broken if they gave 100% knowledge. They would be very, very, very strong, though. But they wouldn't be so strong that, like, every player in the game would only just be chucking Enrage Potions or something. Because you still have to... The biggest issue with using Enrage Potions, even if you don't nerf them at all, is realistically to do them how you intend to do them, which, you know, is AFKing. You'd have to be taking an enemy that is already 25% penaltied. And that alone is already such a penalty that it kind of gets balanced just off of that. As you have to fight minus 25% penalty enemies to be able to kill them. Which already feels like enough of a nerf compared to playing manually. That you didn't need to nerf it even further. Which is the main thing I don't understand about the nerf that they did. Like, the fact you already have to use them on a 25% minus enemy is already all the nerf you need on it. It's not like you're fighting your best in slot with Enrage. That's not something that's happening. Like, it's not like you're fighting the thing that gives you 100% XP within a Rage bot. You would die every time. The skier gets that insane later down the line, but in current state of game, you definitely will not. Like, if I tried to AFK, even this Thief, I would die. If I tried AFKing and Rage Potion this Goblin, we would mega die. I could do it on Death Crow, but the Death Crow's at 15% penalty, soon to be 25% penalty in 2 more levels. Like, you literally have to do it on penalized enemies. It's the only time you could ever actually fully AFK something in the current state of the game. Unless stats really make it different in the future. Maybe they already know that, and maybe they're nerfing it because of that. Because maybe once all the skill trees in and you min-max your skills and have armor maker and have like full tier 4 armor, maybe then you're starting to AFK these things at the level range. Like, you know, it'd be AFKing like maybe even like a hobgoblin above us or something. But, you know, maybe this goblin 2 levels higher than us would be able to AFK with an rage potion then. And maybe that's why they did it. But in current state of game, it kind of makes no sense why it's like that. As a 25% penalty is pretty much already enough penalty. You sent in an extra storage rift. Where do you keep sending them that they actually do stuff? I feel like they ignore every single post I ever send to them. And the only one I ever got a reply on was one mentioning that they never replied to any of them. Is honestly the only one that has ever gotten a reply. Is one where I just put a line in where I actually said they literally never replied to these. Was the only one they ever replied to. Because so far, my current track record is like 25%, if even that. Like, some of them I sent twice. Just, like, slightly reworded. So, not counting those, yeah, I have like a 25% track record currently of them actually replying to one. Though they did technically enact on the one they did reply to. Because I was mentioning some things with enrage potions, and they end up making it so when you're actively in an enrage potion, you don't end up logging out. Because I was mentioning like the 5-minute idle timer and everything with it. So they technically did improve it. If you put a question, they're more likely to do it rather than a statement. Interesting. Yeah, I never done any of mine as a question. Oh, so what support email are you sending to specifically? Like the one for suggestions or the one for like bug stuff? Because I've sent to both. And I only ever got a reply on the suggestion one. That wasn't the only one I sent to suggestions, though. But the reply that I did get was from the suggestion email. Not the bug or issue-related email. Because every issue I've ever had has never been resolved to this day. Every issue I've ever sent them related to something. Every bug I've ever sent them is still in the game, and every issue I've ever had where I've lost currency or something similar has never been reimbursed. Or acknowledged or anything. Like, if I had a 0% success rate with their bug report side. Yeah, overall, I've been liking the direction the game's been going in, though. I do feel like there's a lot of things they could be doing differently. But for the most part, I haven't really been doing anything that's been that bad in any direction. Some of them have been a little bit more questionable, some of the changes they make compared to others. But overall, it seems to be moving in the right direction. Also, we're already a half a level just from stone. For how bad the XP rate is, it honestly isn't like that bad. Like, even though everything is worse than shell, I keep forgetting that number does still go up just like any other skill. Or whatever the most recent activity is still kind of good most of the time for Forager. It's just nowhere near as good as shell. Just because shell has like a billion objects on top of it. You grab a shell and you pick up like 5 items from the ground. Yeah, I kind of keep forgetting that. Every single one, for the most part, does move up. Other than bones. Bones are a little bit weirder. And potato. Aside from bone and potato, technically if you were to move up every single time, it would be an improvement for Forager. Potato and bones are the main exceptions, though. But they're still worse than the shell loop. Because you're taking so many less nodes. Like, for example, the amount of EXP that we get from these monument pieces is technically more than how much we're getting from shells if you were to only account for the shells only. But obviously we're grabbing way more than just the shells only when we're doing shells. But if you were to account for the shells only compared to monument pieces only, they should be either at the exact same XP rate or monument pieces should be slightly higher. However, that's a bit misleading because per hour with all the other stuff that you're getting while getting shells, it is substantially higher than just monument pieces. But if you were in isolation, just counting the monument pieces per hour and comparing that XP to the shells per hour and not counting everything else that we're grabbing while doing shells, then yeah, they're about even. But that's ignoring like the other half of the XP we're pretty much getting while doing shell. Hello, every color. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What do you think about the Forager gloves working like the tools on resources that don't use a tool? Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. But yeah, there's a couple different ways they could do it. They could either do it like they did for a monument, like with fishing, where each tier just gets some kind of benefit of some kind, either like double harvest speed, something similar. Like the main few that it could be is like double harvest speed, chance of getting double, or as you mentioned, making it work for things that don't end up having a tool specifically, like monument pieces, stuff like that. I didn't think of that one. That's an interesting angle for it. I assume the way that they're going to do it is it's going to be like double harvest speed for 1 by 1, or not 1 by 1, but based on like some kind of grouping. Where like some things will end up being able to be double harvested and some more stuff will be able to, or not double harvested, but you know, double harvested twice as quick. Where like this loading bar goes down like, you know, 2 times quicker or something. That was my assumption on it, but yeah, there's a lot of angles they could do. Regardless, our current game plan is to basically stall until tier 9, until 2 Mondays from now. So that we could do the entirety, or at least most of the entirety of tier 9 with Forager gloves. We'll of course only have tier 5 or 6 by then, however, you know, it's better than none. And whatever they are will definitely be an improvement. It might change up some gameplay loops depending on how it works. I'll have to wait and see. There's a lot we don't know about it until it happens. But if that is the case, that's kind of interesting. Because it would allow quite a bit of improvement on finishing out the monument quicker. But also some that are kind of dead, like rack. Because I need to get a lot of rack in tier 9, so that'd actually be great if that was one of the benefits it gave. The only problem is I probably don't have the leatherworker level to go with it. Because rack definitely feels like one that would be really high. But then again, maybe not. Because rack's one of those ones that are not buyable from a shop. And if you were to think of the same one for fishing, you would think like Gauntlet would be really deep. Because, oh, that's like the the main benefits you would get from it. Oops, I'm in the wrong tab. It's under Forager, I forgot. But you get it at like tier 1. Like the most useful fish in all of the unlocks from it is in tier 1. Which is very confusing. So I'm not sure how they're going to align it for something like, you know, Forager gloves. Because let's say hypothetically it is what it is, where, you know, it doubles, or, you know, lets you double for things that don't have a tool. Because I wonder if they'll put, like, the really useful ones early on. Like the monument pieces, the rack instead of Gauntlet. Because the most useful one in all of fishing was put at tier 1. Despite you would normally think it'd be at, like, tier 7, 8, or 9 or something. But they put the most useful one all the way at really early on. So I'm not sure where rack would end up being. Because rack's probably the biggest beneficiary of if that mechanic was to work like that. Rack would probably be the biggest beneficiary of it. That and monument pieces, obviously. particularly Jade Monument pieces, oddly enough. Because Jade Monument pieces, you can actually grab other stuff while doing it. You can't really do that too much with stone, unless you want like a few low-level hogberries or something. But my assumption on what all those tools are going to do is they're going to make harvest speed twice as quick. If I had to like commit to one guess, I think it's going to be kind of like a trickle-in mechanic where, you know, you get like one fish per thing, but you know, you get like a few forager things per thing. And it's going to make it so you harvest twice as quick on every node you touch. That's my guess. It'll be distributed kind of like how fishing is, but with more than one unlock per level. And it would just make the harvest speed quicker. By like 2x. So instead of it taking... Actually, how long does this take? I'm not even sure. Instead of taking like 2 seconds, or however many ticks that is, it would just take 1 tick instead. Or 1 second, I mean. But 1 tick would be really funny how quick that would be if they were to do that. I don't think they're going to make it that strong. That'd be really funny. That would change up gameplay so much and be so fluid if they did do that. That'd be so broken. I kind of want that to be the case. Imagine you can harvest in 1 tick. The kind of gameplay loops you could do around that are going to be so funny. And 1 tick is basically as long as this. Like, you would touch it and you're already moving. Like, literally, the second you touch it, you'd be moving to the next node. That would be so much fun. There's no way they're making it that fun. I don't think they're allowed to make something that fun. It'd be a little bit too broken for some things, but I don't know. Maybe they will. That'd be really funny if they do. I kind of hope they do. I don't think they're going to make it that broken, though. That would be way too broken. If instead of halving the time, they make it 1 tick long. But the fun factor would be very high if they did that. It would also open up some gameplay loops that have never existed before. Because the main thing stopping a lot of gameplay loops is how long it takes to touch every node. So lower tier nodes are generally not as worth taking, like these hogberries in a sense. Because even though we're touching more nodes, we still have to account for the time of actually taking them. But if there's no time for taking them and you just instantly get them, that would lead to some interesting gameplay loops. Or touching everything you ever come even adjacent tile with would be worth taking. If you had the upgrade for it. But no, my assumption is it just goes 2 times quicker. 1 tick would just be way too broken. It would also look weird from an animation perspective if you harvest this stuff that quick. As the animation would last less than half a second. But it would make sense if they have it, because you would still be able to do the animation. And it wouldn't be as broken as if you 1-ticked everything. Though 1-ticking everything would be fun, though. It would be very, very, very fun. And because of that, they're definitely not doing that. There's a 100% chance they're not. But also because of balance. It is very unbalanced if they were to do that. Gameplay loops, particularly for Forager, but for a lot of things, would change drastically if you could harvest stuff that quick. It would just be a little too broken. But no, we'll see what they do. Whatever it is, it's definitely an improvement. It's not like Forager's gonna get worse with Forager glows. Alright, on next set, I gotta drink an 11% pot. And then we gotta get the required 1 level that stone always gets. But yeah, they keep still putting levels as if they're non-Iron Man. Because I think it is physically impossible on a lone wolf to get this sardine unlock at level 25. It says you can, but without trading enabled, it is actually physically impossible. Is if you got the bare minimum amount of EXP from collecting all this stone, not using any EXP pots, and not dumping any knowledge points into Forager, I'm pretty sure you still get 26 Forager by the time you finish this. I mean, this is technically a 26 requirement for Lone Wolf, in a sense. Because I'm pretty sure it is physically impossible to finish a stone tier and not gain a level. Even if you utilize 0 bonuses at all. So you'd always end up being 26 rather than 25. But that would make sense. Other games are like that too, like old school RuneScape. Requirements are always shown as if you have access to Grand Exchange. They do not put into account if you're an Iron Man or not. But it seems like Brighter Shores is doing the same thing. Where every requirement is denoted as if you have trading enabled, even if you don't have trading enabled. Even if it's technically impossible to do at that level. Which, now that I think about it, did they put a requirement on building the monument now? Because I could have sworn in the past you didn't need the Forager level to build up monument. But the way that these milestones work, it seems like you do now. Not sure when that changed or if it's always been like that and I just misunderstood it. But I could have sworn at one point in the game, if you had trading enabled, you could literally just like sell someone a full monument or something. But it seems like it requires the level now to be able to put them in. Alright, second fear potion's almost up. We'll do 3 more, and then after 1 hour more of this, we'll go put everything in the monument, see if we have enough. If not, we'll grab the few extra inventories we need or whatever it is, and then we'll go from there. If it is enough, then we're good to go. But yeah, 3 more potions, 1 more hour, and we'll see where we're at. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that should be monument completed, or at least for tier 8, for stone. Then we just have 3 tiers later to end up getting down. Hope Fear Potion's gonna go by the time we get back in there. Because it's such a long duration. It looks like it should have been done by now. It's just a completely black bar. It's still ticking down. There it goes. Honestly, I kind of want to drink that at one point when we get to Alchemy. Even though I'm not doing the Botanist grind, I kind of want to make, other than for the first time bonus, I want to make a 30-minute Fear Potion. Just to see what that bar is going to look like at the end. Because for the whole final minute, it looks like it should just be like a full black bar, probably. It will still go for like a whole minute where it's like just teasing the bar as if it's going to end any second now. Because it's already somewhat doing that with a 21-minute. I could only imagine how much the 30-minute goes for with that. I guess you can somewhat see that now with the 1 hour potions, but they work a little bit differently how the 1 hours do. Like how this bar moves. And 30-minute Fear Potion is currently the highest duration active potion in the game at the moment. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I should probably go check the fishing board. See if there's anything good here. Anything good? Any Gunards? Gunard, it's turn in, but I'm just gonna not turn it in. I will take all Gunard tasks. And if it says to turn in, I'm just gonna abandon it, but get the first time catching bonus thing. Or, you know, when you catch them and everything. That'll be my game plan for those. I'll still claim the little bit of extra XP, but just not turn them in. Yeah, I really wish there was a bank somewhere in this area. I'm not sure where you would put it. Ideally, like, right in the middle. Or somewhere's on this path. Actually, I know where you could put it. Right here. On this road. It would be, like, the most optimal area for it. Because it would kind of be in between all the loops. Like, somewhere around there. There just really feels like there's like one storage roof missing here now that there's not the bell plant and nettle over there to go utilize. There's just so many dead loops over here that you can't really bank properly. Stone is fine. It's the other things that are nearby that's the problem, like Hogberry and Water Lily. The other place to put it that would be kind of funny would be in this hidden cavern. The only problem is that's barely an improvement for Water Lily. Especially since the main place we'll be banking is from here to there. Which would be further than if we went from there to there. But I mean that mostly for wide loop. But for it to work with wide loop, it'd have to be kind of on the primary path. Doesn't have to be like literally on it, but you know, that would be beneficial if it was. Like if they put it right in the hedge over there. Like not blocking the 2x2 tile, but you know, somewhere's on the wall there. But yeah, the only thing that's going to be weird in the near future, though, is with all the upgrades that they're making, like the most recent Forager feeding into fishing, and those Forager gloves that we'll be getting, you know, relatively soon. It's basically kind of forcing you to have to max other skills before maxing, you know, other skills. And the maxing path in this game is going to be really weird by the end of it all. Because everything's just going to be so weirdly connected. Where you're going to kind of need to have them be almost maxed to be able to get, like, full value from doing another skill. Where obviously they don't have to be maxed, but, you know, if you want to do it in, like, a super efficient order, you kind of would need to. So there's going to be some really weird pathing in the future. Because I do eventually, around 1.0, after, like, all the newer player guides and other things that we might cover, I want to make, like a min-max, ultra sweaty, like, perfect quote-unquote route that you can go through. If you wanted to, like, min-max through the whole game. The only problem with that is there will be actual tiles that say to go get level 500 in X skill. Relatively early on. Or early on, it's like, oh yeah, go do this quest, go do this quest, go get a couple levels here, go get a couple levels here, just go get 500 Forager real quick, and then go do this other thing real quick, and then... like, between, like, do this quest and go get, like, a few levels here would be like, oh, just go max Forager real quick. Like, you know, right after you go get level 50 fishing, just go get 500 Forager, and, yeah, you'll be good to go. And then go do this other thing that takes, like, a half an hour. After you go just do the really quick thing of getting 500 Forager. It's gonna be a really weird list. Like, what optimal order would be like by the time 1.0 comes out. The thing I'm probably most curious about, if it ever does get connectivity, is what feeds in the Merchant. Because I can't imagine them buffing Merchant even more. Without having to nerf it some. Which I hope they never do. Because they are running out of room to buff Merchant. The only thing I could think of is maybe you only need 4 items to turn in instead of 6. That would be insanely broken if they did that, though. Because that would end up giving you 6 inventory instead of 4. As far as how many turn-ins you could do. Which, of course, is how many bounty tasks you have. It's like the only thing I could think of how they could buff Merchant to make it even more broken. Without, you know, like completely breaking something else. Like, actually, like, realistically do. Is if they eventually have some kind of skill connectivity that makes it so you can eventually get to the point where you only have to do 4 turn-ins rather than 6 turn-ins. So you could do 6 at a time, which is all your bounty slots rather than 4. That's like the last buff I could possibly think of for Merchant that would be realistic, and not just making it broken for broken's sake. Like a task that literally just gives you infinite money, or just infinitely gives you, you know, level 500. Which are getting close to that point, but they're not quite there yet. But, you know, of things that realistically could happen to Merchant that hasn't been done to buff even more, that would be like the last thing they could do. Is make it so you only need 4 objects to turn in rather than 6, so that you could do all 6 bounties in one run. Always, without needing to worry about some kind of weird drop or something similar. Alright, we're halfway there. We've consumed 2.5 fear potion. In another 2.5, we'll go check the monument, and we should pretty much be done then. Might need like one more inventory or two or whatever it is, but should be pretty much all the stone by that point. Might even be all. Might even overshoot by then. Because I don't know how much stone this is per hour. Actually, does the wiki have the updated number? Wait. I haven't used the wiki for much for Forager. Because we're routing all of our own stuff. But if I go check Forager... Does it tell me how many I get per hour? Doesn't really matter what tier I do here. Let me just do tier 1. Wrong thing anyways. Tier 1. No, that's not it either. Where's the active stuff? Oh, right here. Alright. Where is Monument Stone? 408. Oh, we might be overshooting here then. You can do 408 an hour? Am I going slow then? Because I always feel like I'm getting like 300 something. Like high 300 something. That means I'm slow by like a dozen per hour. Could be because the extra nodes I grab or something, I'm not sure. Because I just one when we did the math on it one time, it was like high 300 something. Like 380-ish, 390-ish. But Wiki says it's low 400. Like 4012 or whatever that was. But if that's the case, maybe I go check after the 2 more fear potions then instead of 3. Because if that's the case, then I should be pretty close after the 4th fear potion has concluded. So you know what, we'll check after 4 instead of 5 then. Because I slightly underestimated how many we're actually getting per hour. Because that means by the 4th one, we should actually be overshooting. Like, by the time the 4th potion ends, we would have overshot the monument. So we'll go check after 4 then. And currently we're on this halfway through the 2nd. Oh, sorry, we're halfway through the 3rd. Oh, wow, we're almost done then. Hold up. Yeah, it's the 3rd one, because I started with 10. So we've done 2.5. Okay, so I just gotta use one more full fear potion after this. And then we'll go check the monument, because according to the wiki, we should be done by then. Or pretty much right at it. Honestly, I feel like we've done that a lot in the past, because generally when I guesstimate numbers, I guesstimate in a way that assumes, like, worst case scenario. So whenever I guesstimate something, it's always to make sure that, you know, we might have to do a little bit extra. Just to make sure we don't undershoot. I always guesstimate it in a way where it's better to, like, slightly overshoot than under. And yeah, when we came to these pieces, I guess I just undershot too much. Because I'm pretty sure my guesstimate was about 30 lower than what the wiki said. Though we probably are actually gaining that many, it's just I guesstimate it every single time. Which would make sense why it would be off by about an inventory. Because a lot of times when we guesstimate like that, it'll probably be off by up to about 24. Because of how we count the time, just to make sure that we always have enough time for the in-between stuff. You put up a Reddit post to make one of the Hope Forest animals a pet? Unofficial petition to see if the community is interested? Oh gosh. I am curious how this game will eventually handle pets. For the most part, I like them as like a little extra thing that you can end up getting. I hate grinding for them though, and I'm at the point in Old School RuneScape where I actually have to start grinding for them. Like, the new cow that came out the other week was pretty free, but most pets take, like, way too long. Not sure what it's gonna be like in Brighter Shores. I do hope Brighter Shores tracks your duplicate pets, though. Or has some system for that. Because if you had a pet following you that said you have 100 of that pet, that'd be really funny. Like if you really liked a piece of content, and you had a pet following you that told you, like, hey, this person has this much KC and has this pet like 170-something times. I do plan to grind bosses quite heavily when they come out. As well as likely making guides on them. Well, there's a lot of things we'll be making guides on. But that's one of the things that we would pretty much go really, really, really heavily into. Like top 20 leaderboard, make guide on within first day or week or whatever. Stuff like that. It's one of the few pieces of content we will, like, mega grind to the ends of the earth when they start coming out. Especially if the loot is worth it. But even initially, just because there's, like, none in the game, so... once they start trickling in, we'll need something like that. Yeah, I can read the post on Steam later. Guess I could technically try to check it now. It's just somewhat hard to do while doing Stone. Stone's not particularly AFK compared to some of the other loops that we had earlier. That's the only real big issue with Stone. Well, there's a couple issues. One of them is it's very non-AFK compared to some Forager loops. Like where we're doing, like, Pond Weed or something. But I would love to see eventually some kind of pet system in this game. Having a toggle to disable it would be nice, though, for people that do want to disable them. But I would normally keep it on, probably. My hopes for them is that they're fully cosmetic. It tracks the total amount that you have, and it tracks your, like, KC or whatever metric would be worth tracking. Like, if it's a minigame pet, I hope it tracks, like, how many minigames you've done, as well as how many times you've rolled for the pet and stuff like that. Like, give some statistics on it related to the content that you get it from. Like, if you, like, right-click info, a pet that's following. Like, right here, if there's a pet following someone, you could have, like, a right-click info, and then you bring up that tab, and it's like, oh, they've gotten this pet 3 times. They killed this boss 3,000-something times. They, you know, whatever other metrics. Like, something like that I would love to have for it. Or it's like a pet following them, you go check it, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of info on it. You'd like an ant? I wasn't referring literally to an ant, but I was just using that as an example. But yes, the ant pet. Honestly, I could see Delver getting an ant pet, technically. If they were to do a pet for every skill, getting some kind of worm or ant pet would make sense kind of for a the Delver skill. Or a mole or something similar. Like something that burrows. Though I would definitely prioritize whatever the bird and dragon pets are. Especially if they actually fly behind you. But I just like birds and dragons. But also because flying pets behind you are also pretty cool. Instead of like the ones that just stationary walk behind you. Because they generally get much more elaborate animations normally. Because at bare minimum have to make it like a flying loop for them rather than just a walk loop. I know, knowledge point. We'll use you in a second. I'm trying. I'm trying my best to use you. And then we click the 1 button, or the top of our mouse, because I keep forgetting the mouse hotkeys. I set them up on Monday and proceeded to almost never use them since. But I did set my mouse key 4 to my bigger potion, and my mouse key 5 to the lesser potion, because it's easier to click. Yeah, I keep proceeding to click neither. Originally I had it on the quick action, but I'm fine just clicking the quick action. On Steam Deck and mobile, the quick action would work better. Well, I guess more so on Steam Deck. So obviously there's no mobile at the moment. Plus, mobile wouldn't really have a hotkey for it. But for Steam Deck, it would work really nice, which I still need to go bind. But for PC, it's not really that needed. Rather have the 2 potions we use the most at any given time on hotkey. Even though we use the action command more per hour. It's just so easy to just click the circle. It's not that big a deal. On Steam Deck, it matters a bit more because it's kind of clunky to hit the little small circle precisely. But, you know, on PC, it's pretty easy to click a circle. It's only on mobile and Steam Deck that that's a bit more of an issue due to misclick potential. Not that you can't misclick on PC, but you're a lot less likely to misclick on PC. But yeah, if they ever do start adding pets, I do hope, like, literally everything gets a pet. Like, every skill gets a pet, every boss gets a pet, every minigame gets a pet. Every pet gets a pet, no. You know what I mean. Episode pets would be kind of interesting, too. Like, not just per skill, but per entire episode as well. Or maybe a pet that you get once you get all 4 of the skills pets, or, you know, all the pets within the chapter. Like, if you get the mining pet, the bone right pet, the blacksmith pet, and the stonemason pet, you automatically get a 100% chance to get the Mines of Matubin pet or something. Or it's more so like a completionist of chapter pet, in a sense. Or if you have, like, the pet for the chapter, you know that person basically, like, it's almost like the equivalence of wearing, like, a 500 all cape. Except, you know, you'd have it earlier than the 500 all cape. Most likely. That'd be to kind of like that level. As far as, like, completion within a chapter. Except you would get it in between a 200 all cape and a 500 all cape. Within a chapter. Or it'd be easier than maxing everything, but it'd be harder than just getting, you know, milestone 4 on all of them. I'm not sure if RuneScape 3 still has that mechanic, but the way that I think of, like, pets dropping is almost like how that one stone system used to work in RuneScape 3. I have no clue how it works these days. But basically, while you were doing any skill, there was, like, a chance that you would just randomly get this stone that you'd bring to a museum. And then after X amount, you would, like, complete it and get, like, an XP lamp or whatever else it did. So you would just randomly get it while doing, like, any skill. And some of them you get pretty early and pretty frequently. Like, some kind of pity system like that could potentially work for some stuff. Or while you're doing a skill, you just randomly get some kind of excess material that then goes to, you know, either some kind of shop system or towards the rolls of, you know, getting the pet or whatever. Just add a bit of a pity system to it so you don't go dry forever. Not sure if this game ever will do pity system because we don't really know what RNG drops are going to be like. Because honestly, it might be controversial, but I am so pro every possible anti-pity system possible. Anything that can prevent going like thousands and tens of thousands dry, I will always be in favor of. Even if it makes a drop, like, less prestigious. It just burns to go, like, hundreds or thousands of hours dry for something. That's just insane. So, the more pity systems, the better. Like, obviously for things that are a shorter grind, like, you know, a few hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, you don't need it for. But, you know, anything that's starting to get to, like, the 100 to 1,000 hour category is where it's like, you should probably have some kind of system so you can't go 10x dry. Just possibly. Just in case. Because statistically, it will happen to someone. And they're in for a very bad time. But I personally feel like any grind over, like, 100 hours should have a pity system. Honestly, even almost over 50 hours. But I'm maybe pushing it a bit. But any grind that's, like, definitively over 100 hours, I feel like should have some kind of pity system where you can't go more than, like, 3x dry or something. Yeah, Old School RuneScape somewhat did that, but they put it all away at the end. Pets are 15 times more common if you literally max a skill to 200 million XP. If I had to guess, they'd probably do something like a Ring of Wealth equivalence if they were to do something like that. If they were to do it again. Where you wear like a piece of jewelry that makes your chances higher for stuff like that. So if you want to specifically farm for that and don't care about any of the other amulet buffs or whatever they're going to do for that, you might do the one that gives you better RNG. Or however they're going to do that system. I also don't mind a system in a game that actually increases your luck just across the board. Like if there was a skill in a given chapter that just gives you like global buffs. And you would need to like get that up to get a luck stat. I believe RuneScape 3 has something somewhat like that. Old School definitely doesn't, obviously. But like some kind of mechanic that just gives you global buffs. With one of those being an increase in luck. For various mechanics. The closest thing Old School RuneScape has to that is that one mining thing. I forget what the activity is called. Oh, that's not the potion I want. I forgot. I don't have it hotkeyed. Oh, yeah, I do. I can just use this hotkey. There we go. Perfect. Never mind. I think the closest thing Old School RuneScape to that is the Mine to Camdozel, where it's like a free-to-play activity, but it's also members, but you basically spend a bunch of shards to get you better luck. You can get better luck across the entire activity in the area. You can get better luck for each activity, like if you want better luck for mining, or better luck for fishing, or better luck for combat, or whatever it is. Like, that's the closest thing Old School RuneScape has, but I believe RuneScape 3 has, like, an actual, like, system where you put upgrades into it and just gives you global buffs forever. With some of them, I believe, being luck-based, or, you know, increases your luck chances for some things. Because I don't mind that as a mechanic, necessarily. It starts to get a little metagamey, though, as far as, like, you know, how long it takes to upgrade those and stuff like that, but I don't mind that kind of system, personally. As long as it's not, like, too intrusive to the overall gameplay. Or it's like, oh, you have to have these buffs to, like, bother playing. As long as they're, like, small benefits. Where it's like, it's nice if you have it, but you're not going, like, way out of your way if you... Like, you won't feel like you're missing out if you don't have them. But they're strong enough that you probably want to go out of your way eventually to go get them, kind of level of buff. Where you don't need them, but having them's nice. But no, we'll have to wait and see, because we have nothing luck-based currently in the entire game. Like, literally zero. So we don't know what kind of direction they want to go with it, because there's literally nothing to go by. There's a total of 0 things we have for current info. We know what they've done in the past. During, you know, RuneScape Classic, RuneScape 2, stuff like that. Well, mostly those two, because RuneScape 3 is a bad example. Because that's after the Andrew Gower years. Even though they have taken inspiration from Old School RuneScape and RuneScape 3, they both are post-Gower related things. Like, blast mining is pretty much just blast mining in Old School RuneScape, but worse. It's worse for experience, it's better for material. Because you can actually get unique material from it, whereas you don't in Old School RuneScape, so no one ever bothers doing it. But the actual activity is better to do in Old School, the blast mining in Old School. The main issue that Brighter Shores blast mining still has is you can't set more than one explosive at once. If you get to set 3, it'd be perfectly fine. Like you can in old school where you can set like 3, 4, even 5, I believe, in a chain. But technically it's unlimited, but you can only set up so many at a time. Or, you know, you can only get to them so quick. But in Brighter Shores, you can only set 1 at a time instead of all 3 in the room. It's like the main improvement they gotta make to Deathstone still. Make it so you can set off all 3 without having to wait a timer for each one. Whatever they gotta do to balance it to make that how you do it needs to be done at some point. But no, as far as RNG drops, yeah, we mostly just gotta wait and see. We just have nothing to go by is the problem. And of course, we also mentioned in the past, like, point shop systems. They've loved point shop systems in the past. Particularly for minigames, but for some activities too. Like, there were actual best in slots that they've added to their past MMOs that were from point shops from minigames. Or minigame-esque like things like dungeons and stuff. So it's not to say that they wouldn't do it again. Like, add literal best in slots from a point-like shop. They did it with Ring Imbues when Ring Imbues, I believe, first came out. Where they attach it to a minigame that was point-based. To some degree, old school is kind of still like that to some degree now. They did that for Dungeoneering, where like all best in slot gear at the time was all from Dungeoneering point shop. They did it for a few other things, like some minigames, like Fist of Gothics had some decent stuff for like free-to-play best in slot. Which is like the equivalence of something Hopeport or Hope Forest having something like that. So they have done it in the past, we just don't know, you know, what they'll do now. Because there was a point where literally all best in slot free-to-play gear was basically a point shop. I'm not sure if that's still the case in RuneScape 3 free-to-play. But at least RuneScape 2's free-to-play for some amount of time, for like 5-ish years, 5+ years, from like 2008 to 2012. Best in slot, almost full best in slot, was literally bought from a point shop from minigames. Yeah, our first level is almost rolling in. And as soon as this 15 minutes expires on this potion, we'll go see how far our monument is, and we might actually have all the pieces. I might even be overshooting. But we'll wait till this full 15 minutes is done. We'll keep doing stone until then. And as soon as it finishes, we'll go head over to the monument with our 24, start putting them in, and hopefully that's enough, and if not, we might need like 1 or 2 more inventory. But I might even overshoot it by an inventory or 2, we'll find out. You like the willow tree area? Where did they move willow trees to these days? Didn't they move it to the water pond? Didn't they move it to the circular water? Oh yeah, with the rainbow pole? Yeah, that area is pretty nice. I personally haven't been doing any wood cutting there since they've changed that though, because willows are pretty bad to go for, unfortunately. They're only used for willow water, which makes it like the worst thing in all of wood cutting to do. Because willow water is still an 11-hour venture and not 23-hour. Even if it is, it's the benefit that you get from it is basically just botanist XP. The actual reward is pretty underwhelming. Which kind of makes that tree kind of dead content, unfortunately. I do like the area. But, the tree itself is really useless due to what it's used for. Or lack thereof. It's probably the most useless tree in all of woodcutting, even though the area looks really nice. Yeah, they definitely gotta change how willow water works at some point, and the venture in general. There's a couple things with botanists that still need to be reworked. They gotta do like a gather or rework. So they changed Gatherer to Botanist, but there's still a lot of things with Botanist that still need to be addressed that's really clunky compared to any other skill. So they basically got to rework the skill twice now. Because at some point, they definitely got to tweak Botanist a bit. Maybe they'll wait until they do bounties or something else before they do it, or some kind of other interconnectivity. Kind of like how fishing got changed a little bit when the Forager update this week that ended up benefiting it. But they changed some other things with the fishing to, you know, match up better with it. So maybe they'll do that around the time. But there's definitely several tweaks that really have to happen to Botanist. And how bad Willow Water Venture is definitely one of those. It's arguably the worst venture in the entire game at the moment, which also makes cutting willow trees really useless at the moment. As it's the only active activity in the game that feeds just into a venture. There's not a single other one that's like that at the moment. Or you're doing something active that's feeding into a limited time activity that you can only do one of. But if Willow Water charges infinitely stacked, that'd be really funny. Because don't you get like 2 sets of full can for doing one? Basically just have an infinite watering can. But you can just keep stacking higher and higher Willow Water. Eventually we'll have a can that can last for like a literal week. Like over 100 hours of gameplay. That would be funny. I definitely gotta do some adjustment to it. Like what they ultimately do, who knows, but it can't stay as it is now. Otherwise it's just dead content. Like it's literally the last venture you would ever do in the current state of the game. It is that bad. Despite how absurdly beneficial ventures are. Alright, we've gained our first level from Stone. And we still got, what, 11 minutes. So finish those 11 minutes, and hopefully Monument is completed. And then every grind we want to get done today would have been done. As I already have the anemones, I need to go AFK tonight, as well as, you know, later today. Oh. But yeah, we are taking a little bit of a break from Brighter Shores from this grind, though, after today. Next 4 days, we'll be doing Slay the Spire 2, so our next Brighter Shores stream after today will be on Smithing Day. We'll be going crazy on that for several hours. Not sure exactly how much time I'll have spare that day, but I want to get at least 3 smithing levels, so that'll probably take at least 3 hours or something. But we'll be doing smithing bounties. Next week's Monday will be our next Brighter Shores stream after today. And then the one after that should be us back to hopefully somewhat normal schedule by next week's Wednesday. However, if I am streaming by then again, we will still be having to delay some of our stuff in the sense that I don't want to push too much further beyond tier 9. So we're probably going to do like 1 day of merchant, 1 day of combat, you know, stuff like that. Because I want to try to stay right at level 9 or so by the time Forager gloves come out. So when we do start coming back fully by that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll probably be doing like a different grind every day of some kind. One of those days would probably still be Forager, but you know, one of those would be getting merchant to 25. One of those might be a little bit of an alchemy push, you know, stuff like that. One of them definitely combat. Stuff like that. Maybe even a leatherworker push if we want to try to get it up. Because we don't know what level in tier 6 we need. For all we know, it could be level 0 at tier 6, but realistically, it could be like level 20, level 30, level 40. All we know is what they did for Monument was put it at level 25. And if we were to make that assumption, maybe I should try pushing 20 leatherworker levels. Can I do that with level 25 merchant? Let me double check. At level 25 merchant, I can do strong boarhide. Does that get me to level 25? Strong boarhide? It does. I might have to do that, honestly. Because that'd be the last time that we try leatherworker before the modification where mining ends up increasing it. So it'll be the last time that we could try leatherworker without the mining buff. The only problem is that's going to take a while, and that's not good stream content, just, you know, doing leather over and over again. Not like most of this is good stream content, but you know what I mean. Like, that's like extra, not. That's like mega AFK doing leatherworker. That's the only problem with that. This leatherworker is a mega AFK skill. Maybe a little bit less so after the mining buff. That might speed it up a bit. That's coming out on, like, what, 5 Mondays from now? 4 Mondays? Whatever it was. Sometime in about a month. But, yeah, this would be the last time that we actually get to try it. So maybe I will do it for one stream. Not the whole stream, obviously. Or, you know, for the whole stream it would be. But, you know, just for 1 day as a 1 day off thing. Just to kind of show it before the buff. Also because I haven't done leatherworker since the Milestone updates. All my tiers are all over the place as far as how weird they are. I don't think I have any tier 6 leather banked because of how the conversions worked. I think we literally have 0 tier 6 in bank. So it'll allow us to do the ones that we haven't done yet as well as all the other ones. And I wouldn't even really need that merchant level for it. My current merchant level should already be able to do all this even if we didn't train it yet. So we could even do that before the merchant grind if we wanted to. Because our current merchant level is already at strong sheep. And there's no way I'm doing enough in one day to reach level 22. There's no way we're gaining 17 leatherworker levels in one day. Unless the milestone really changed the curves, but I highly doubt it. That we could do 17 leatherworker levels in a day. That is very unlikely. So our current merchant level is already technically enough for that. Even though I still need the 25 for the venture. But as far as doing leatherworker, I actually don't need 25 at the moment. Our level is currently already enough. Yeah, this is still set up as a game that's just going to be a very slow trickle over time. It's going to be a while before we really get anything more substantial. But we'll be here for the whole ride, wherever it goes. Though after we do finish out Monument, I do feel like I'll be slowing down a bit again. The speed up was mostly for, you know, milestones and to go rush down this Monument and everything. But after we finish Monument, we will go back to probably just covering Monday content for the most part. Or, you know, whenever a Monday goes around, we'll do our stream and go over everything. But if there's ever something worth grinding again, we would come back to go mega grind. And it's not like I won't be doing it off stream, especially now that we have a 9 to 10 minute AFK option. Well, I guess technically I currently only have 7 minute, but you know, it'll eventually be 9 or 10 minute. So now that there's a proper AFK option, I can actually start kind of grinding it in the background now. It's something I wasn't able to really do properly in the past, just because there wasn't really an AFK activity long enough. Like most AFKs were like close to a minute or two, if that. But now that I have 7 minute AFK and eventually 9 or 10 minute AFK, we can actually start, you know, background grinding this off stream while I'm doing other stuff. As the AFK time is actually long enough to, you know, not need to keep constantly checking it every minute. So it's something I'm going to start utilizing here and there. Because normally without my schedule work, I could probably get like 5 to 10 hours per day of Enrage Potion AFK on most days when we're not streaming. Which is a lot of progress towards max combat. And even though we're only getting a third to knowledge, it's still a lot of knowledge points. As well as a lot of money and a lot of gear. And a bunch of resource drops. So the resource drops aren't that many, but they start adding up over a long enough period of time. Like, it's better than just running a passive, if nothing else. Like, even with the knowledge nerf on Enrage Potions and the fact that you have to fight an enemy that's 25% penalized, it is still better than doing passive. Even at level 9 passive. Like, a level 9 passive is very strong. Same as level 8. But using Enrage Potions is still better than a level 8 or 9 passive, which are the best ones you could ever get. Alright, the Fear Potion's almost done. I think we have enough to get one more full inventory. And I'll bring that full inventory to Monument, and hopefully that's enough stone. And hopefully we didn't already overshoot. But yeah, we'll go for one more set. And it works perfectly because the next bank cycle goes to Monument. So we're on perfect cycle as well. So our next bank will go to Monument. We'll go bring all 24 to her. We'll then bring all the stone out of bank. And hopefully that's enough. Also, hopefully 4 minutes lasts long enough. It should. I don't see why it wouldn't. And then from here, we only need 3 more upgrades, which we'll get over the next few weeks. As we wait for Forager gloves. And hope that they're good. Though regardless, there'll be some kind of buff, obviously. Oh, also it's the end of the hour, 5 minutes after. The bounty board should be ready if we have some Gauntlet or a legendary fish. Let's go check real quick. Do we have anything here? No Gauntlet, no legendary fish. Scammed. Absolutely nothing worth doing. No! Come on, give me the only fish that matters right now. Let me just drop these. Since we took that, we probably have a little bit of a stall here. Because we stalled enough on the little message board that I can't take the bone spike. Rip 13,000 Forager XP. The cost of checking the board was 13,000 Forager, or however much one bone spike was at this level range. Which is one of the other reasons why checking bounties is actually kind of bad. And one of the reasons I feel like it won't be worth it for anything other than production skills. Is you have to give up value to check a bounty board. Not just the time to get there, but, you know, the time that you're looking at it, you know, actually picking up what tasks you want otherwise. And, of course, the extra time associated with doing the task compared to spamming an actual activity. It's pretty much only production skills. I can't see myself ever doing bounties for Forager, Miner, Woodcutter, Fisher, stuff like that. Well, obviously we did it for fishing some just to mess around. Well, obviously we'll do that whenever they come out. As far as, like, farming them, I can't really see myself ever doing that for any gathering skill. Maybe Botanist, if they haven't added anything better to train it with. But realistically, we're doing Botanist through dungeons and world events. I don't think even bounties for that I would bother doing, like, heavily. Obviously, when they come out, we'll go maybe try to aim for, you know, level 5, tier 5. But ideally, that's more of a dungeon or bounty, or dungeon or world event angle. Alright, the Sphere Potion is about to expire very soon. I'm not sure if this is going to last long enough. I'm hoping it does. I have to come back into this room, what, one more time? Because we grab 4. Yeah, we only have to come back one more time. 2 minutes should be enough. And then we'll go straight up to Monument, as that's where we need a bank anyway, so it works out conveniently. Perfect cycle. And then hopefully that's enough stone, and if we did overshoot, hopefully we didn't overshoot that much. But every inventory that we overshoot is like over 70 silver, so it's not that bad. Like, it's not great, but, you know, starts adding up. Because this is over a gold an hour, especially when you did the first time bonus for the turn in. Like, obviously that's not insane money, but, you know, it's not nothing. Like a little over a gold an hour. It's not, like, mega good, but it's not bad. Alright, well, the Fear Potion lasts long enough. Oh, yeah, we got a solid minute. There's no way we're going to be longer than a minute. It could say 30 seconds right now. Would probably be fine. Oh, come on. We just need one more 5 there. We got 5525. Come on, 30 more levels. We'll get there soonish. Get that nice clean 5555. We should have that probably by next week's Wednesday, I would assume. Since I will be playing a little bit less than the next 4 days, but I'll still be doing some grinds off stream. If anything, maybe I should go push the Leatherworker some. That way when we do the Leatherworker stream, we could push both of them to 25. Like, do the Merchant stream, then push the other one to 25. Because that might be my thing I go do when I need, like, a somewhat AFK. The only problem is the AFK time for that's, like, only a minute. And it's gonna be even less once you have the mining upgrade, most likely, later. But I just want to have it so if we do one day dedicated to Leatherworker when we go try to stall until gloves come out, we could do that on, like, the Saturday or Sunday before they come out. This will be really relevant since, you know, they're about to come out the following day by that point, on that Monday. So maybe like the Sunday or Saturday before Forager gloves come out, we'll go do Leatherworker. And I'll try to push to level 25 in case they put it at the same level that Forager is. I'm not sure if they're going to do it at the same level, but, you know, it wouldn't hurt to try. In case they put it at like level 40 or something. Oh, sorry, we need 580, not 590. I thought we need 590. But yeah, there should be enough. Let's see. I put in 24, so this number needs to be higher than 556. No! We're slightly short. Then I have to waste one Fear Potion just to grab like 2 inventories. We'll still turn all this in though. But yeah, we're slightly short. We're like 5-10 minutes short, probably 10 of getting more stone. We're gonna have to make one more trip after. Pretty close though. But yeah, we're like 50 short. We're like 2 full inventories and like a partial inventory short. But that's not too bad for an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, we still gotta make it like an hour and a half, that extra 10 minutes in there. Use like a third or a half of the next fear potion. Probably like a third. It's gonna be really overkill, but it's not worth the time replacing this out for like a 12-minute fear. The amount of value saved relative to how much time that would take would just cancel itself out into the negative. So we're just gonna drink a 21-minute for it. We do have a limited number of 21 minutes, but we're not running out anytime soon. And worst comes to worst, we will eventually be making some fear potions with alchemy. Aside from first-time bonus, you know, eventually we're training botanist. And when we're due, we're going to be getting at least the first-time bonus on that as well. And when we're there, we'll probably grab at least one inventory, so, you know, that's like 12 each time. And 12 fear potions might not sound like a lot, but, you know, when they're lasting for over 20 minutes, 12 is literally like 4+ hours. So compared to any other potion, when you say like 12, it's like, oh, that'll last me for like 10 minutes. But when it comes to fear potion, it's like, oh yeah, 12. You know, like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours worth. Like an entire day's worth of fear potion, basically. For one single inventory. It is insane how little you need of them. Like if you gathered fear potions for 1 hour, like let's say you were a max botanist or something, and you gathered half of your inventory as glow plants and half of them as the dandelion. I'm not sure exactly how many you would get, but I want to say about at least 300, which means at least 150. What is 150 times 60 divided by 30? 150 times 30... No, what did I do? 150 is how many you're getting, 30 is how long they are, and then divide that by 60, yeah. That means bare minimum, every hour that you gather fear potion, you would get 75 hours of fear potion. That's not counting potion making time, but potion making time doesn't take that long. As far as gathering the supplies, bare minimum, you would get 75 hours per hour. It's probably even higher than that. That was really lowballed. It's probably closer to 100 hours per hour. But I guess if you account for potion making time, yeah, let's say it is 75 then. Because even though I lowballed it, that's, if you count potion time, that should pretty much bring it in. So yeah, you're getting about 75 hours per hour. To put that in perspective, in Rage, you only get 18.3 repeating. And that's counting the alchemy making process. So, as well as getting both the 2 material from scratch, from Forager. So for Enrage, you end up getting about 18-ish per hour of made, full process. Whereas Fear Potion at max is upwards of 70 hours per hour. You know how long that is? I'm not even sure if in the total that I've played, I've used 70 hours of Fear. And at max level, you can make that in 1 hour. I'm not even sure if my total Fear duration has been 70 hours. And you can make that every hour, what with the, you know, high-level botanists and high-level alchemy. Though even at lower level, it's still pretty high. Like, we're still talking like 30, 40, 50 hours. Even at, like, the levels we're at now, pretty much. Like, if I was at the tier 5 of it, I'm pretty sure I can make easily over 30 hours an hour. Even closer to 40 hours an hour of Fear Potion. Which is absurdly high when you look at, like, any other ratio. Because let's put that compared to, like, I don't know, a blue boost potion in the current state of the game. If we were to do that, you'd be able to make about 3 hours worth per hour. Compared to Fear, that at the same level range. You're literally putting a 0 at the end of that number for how many you can make hours worth per hour. It's crazy disparity between it. Like how high Fear Potion is compared to anything. Yeah, most combat pots are like 3 to 4 hours worth. In Rage, at absolute best case scenario is about 18 hours worth. And in Fear, at best case scenario is like, yeah, here's like 70 or 80 hours worth per hour. It's crazy with the disparity between the numbers. Especially since you make none of them on the potent machine. You make all of them from the one that you can do like, you know, hundreds for per hour. Because potents, you make half as much for per every single hour that you do it for. And before, Fear had half of them on potent machine, but now none of them are. So the number is even more ridiculous. Now, we almost got all the stone in. Though I do need to go gather more stone. We don't have enough. We are pretty close. Should only need like 10 more minutes of stone gathering. Like 2.5 more inventories. I'll do the math just so we know. And instead of dividing it, I'm just going to keep minusing 24 into it. And the reason for that is I want to see what the remaining number is after. Just so I know how much we need to get on our final trip. Because normally that would just be trolling if you were trying to divide a number that way. But the reason I'm doing it that way is, so instead of having to translate the decimal, we'll just see the number at the end. Just because we only have to do it a few times. If you had to do it like 10 plus times, obviously you wouldn't want to do it that way. You would just want to translate the decimal into a real number. But if I simply just keep minusing 24 from this, it will tell me exactly what that number is without having to translate the decimal. So all we have to do is take whatever this number is and keep minusing 24, and whatever the number is that's remaining, that goes negative, is how many we need to go get. So if I take 580 and then subtract 528, and then subtract 24 from it, I have to do it 1, 2... I have to do it 2 times, then grab 4. And there, I didn't need to translate any decimal. But, there we go. So we gotta do 2 full inventories, and then grab 4 additional ones. And then we are done with Stone Monument. Easy as that. One of the few situations where, dividing is actually slower. But it's mostly so we didn't have to translate the decimal to the 4 number. We could just simply see that it was 4. But yeah, 2 full inventories of 24, and then the final one remaining is just 4 pickup. Which we could just come back to his room and just grab the 4 then. Stretch. And then I'll probably go grab dinner then. And then our next Forager live stream, it's probably a week from today. And our next Brighter Shores live stream of any kind is obviously on Smithing Day on Monday. As not counting the 3 months that we're going to be away for the trip, obviously whenever we're around, we'll be covering every Monday update where applicable. As we have been always. With the next one being Smithing on Monday. Which I'm really looking forward to. My goal for that is to try to, before the stream, get to at least tier 7, ideally a little bit higher than that. And then we'll just go make all the stuff it tells us to go make then. And we'll just keep doing them every hour, assuming they're hourlies. And in the meantime, in the downtime, I'll train smithing manually with the iron ore spears I have. I don't want to use all of them though, in case one of the tasks is to go and smith them. Because we haven't actually seen a production skill like that has bounties yet. So we don't know if that's going to be a task or not. I feel like they wouldn't be. But we don't know for sure if there's going to be like a smith-only task, in a sense. Like where there's a task where you have to smith the bars or extra stones. Where you don't have to turn them in or anything, but you just have to do it or something. I assume that isn't a task, but we don't actually know for sure because no skill like this has ever had a thing like that. Because cooking doesn't have an equivalence of that. And it's the only one that's like a production skill that has bounties at the moment. So we don't currently know if there's going to be a task like go etch, you know, like 10 of this bar or whatever. I don't think that would be a task. But we don't know for sure, since no skill like this has had a bounty system yet. But it seems like all bounties are just going to be delivery tasks in a sense. Where you bring them to the Cobalt Stadium for the smithing. In the case of Stonemason, you bring them to a bunch of different slimes all over the place that eat them. Talk about an item sink. They literally just consume your items. Oh, this will work out perfectly too, because I'll be at this bank and they'll be at the other bank. And then we just grab the 4 and we're good to go. Oh, it's gonna work out perfectly. Yep, second last full inventory. And then we'll see what this does. If I had to guess, I don't know, probably Brazier? Because I believe it adds 2 sets of Brazier, so it might add the bottom set and then the top. Because I know at some point it starts adding Braziers. Just not sure if it does it at this tier right now or all the way at the end. Because generally it divides any upgrade that it does at the base floor compared to the top. I'm pretty sure there's braziers on both sides, and we haven't gotten any braziers yet. I don't know, find out. And of course that also unlocks sardines, so we don't really care about that. Though just for the sake of it, I do kind of want to look at the before and after on sardine. Actually, probably should have done that right now. That would have been the perfect time to go look. Well, we already know what it looks like with 3, but I guess we'll just check after. But before we end the stream, I do want to go look at sardines with the 4 spawn. We've seen it quite a few times with the 3 spawn when we're just walking by doing, you know, Forager there. Well, we'll see the layout for 4. Will they be worth doing? No. However, we'll still go check them out. Honestly, even if you have bounties for them, I'm not even sure they're worth it, even with the 4 spawn. They're in the same category of flounder in that they're like the most useless thing ever. Because you can only sell them. Because the whole point of doing any fishing that isn't ventures in the current state of the game is because you want to save them for cooking. So flounder and sardines are just really weird because you can't save them for cooking. So like the whole reason why you'd want to catch anything other than just do venture is to save them for cooking, but you can't save them for cooking, so what's the point of doing them? I'm hoping that they're used for some kind of future skill in some other chapter that we don't know about yet, but in the current state of the game, flounder and sardines are just really absurdly bad. There's a whole value prospect that every other fish has they specifically do not have. Pufferfish are also somewhat bad if you don't make your own cages. If you do make your own cages, they're fine. Still a little clunky, but fine. But if you're not making your own cages, they are horrifically bad. And it's one of those things I might skip. There's a couple things in woodcutting I feel like I'm skipping. I'm skipping willow branches because they are bad. I'm skipping cypress branches because those are the things we were just talking about for the pufferfish. The willow one is limited how much you can even use because it's based on willow water. So both of those are just dead. Which means, what do you have to do at the end of the previous milestone? That means you would do a lot of teaks. Oh, that's good. That's good. Teaks are for Chapter 5 for Builder. We don't know how good they are, but they are still good because they have Chapter 5. But yeah, that means you'd have to do use and teaks, whatever you want to prioritize. Either big weapons for every class or supplies for Chapter 5 that we have no clue what they do yet. You'd want to prioritize one of those most likely. At the entirety of this intro level range. Because willow branches, even if you want to do willow water, you shouldn't need more than a couple hundred of, and that's not going to get you 3 levels at most level ranges. Like at absolute most, you're going to need a couple hundred, and that's if you want to do the willow water venture. If you're not, you need 0. Or maybe like 12 so you get the first time bonus. Do like 1 inventory and that's it. And then you can do the first time bonus for the willow water and still have spears. But cypress branches, similar. You'd probably just do 1 inventory. They're just for the cages for pufferfish. They're not too relevant and are probably going to be mostly skipped on fishing and for cooking. And then the only thing that leaves then is, yeah, oak tree or oak log. So you basically go from teaks and maybe use, depending on which one of the 2 you want to prioritize, depending on what you want to prioritize, either Chapter 5 or weapon making. And then you would just do those all the way, some combination of oak and, or yew and teak all the way until oak at tier 7. Just because of how bad willow branches and cypress are. They're probably okay for XP, but the material that you're getting from them is the bad part. Like, their actual XP rate might be okay. But it's the material that's horrible on them. Alright, now we just need to get 4 more and we're good to go. So I'll save this 1 point for later. Might need it for a passive or something. Oh, no, don't convert it. Save for later. Alright, let me go put these away. Let me go grab our 3 hogberries. And now we just need 4 more and that should be monument completed. At least for this tier of stone. So let me go grab these, drop that. Go do what we normally do for our loop when we do it on the alt accounts, where we just like touch everything in the room. We'll grab the hogberries here, why not? And now we wait. Actually, no, I'm just gonna grab the stone pieces. Actually, if I'm doing it this way, I should have went to the other stone. Since I need to end at this side, rather than by the door. Let's see, can you do it this way? I think you can, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can, perfect. That's how I normally do it on alt accounts. I just click on everything in the room, wait, click on everything on the room, wait, click on everything in the room, drop all the hotberries, wait, and rinse and repeat until we have a full inventory of stone. I actually never go into the fear room on the other accounts. It takes almost twice as long, but it has the benefit of being mega AFK. And that's how I normally do stone on the other account. Is I would literally just wait here, then grab everything, then wait here, grab everything, drop all these, then grab just stone. And just do that until you have 24 stone, then go back to tower and, you know, rinse, repeat. You never need to be under the effect of fear. Alright, let's go turn it in. We'll set in the single 4. Unless we did math wrong, but this should be exact number. And then we do 2 24s, and that should be, this monument stage completed. Then we only have 2 more jades and 1 more stone to go. Until we can get this venture slot and stop doing Forager forever. No, we'll still be doing Forager even post-max occasionally. Mostly while synergizing it with combat in the area to go get some tier 9 material. With the new Forager gloves, because we'll have Forager gloves by then. And hey, we made a little over a gold from doing all this. I haven't been keeping track of the exact number, but a little over a gold. Alright, it should be the last set. Let's not click anything. And it should create Brazier somewhere. It's either on the bottom or the top. Let's see. Oh no, just it's a rail. Oh, I guess you get all the braziers at the end then. Okay. Oh yeah, we got this unlocked too. So I didn't pan over to it, but by repairing stage 17, it's the first time we've ever seen this. Even though we have several unlocks of this, this is the first one we've done since the update on Monday. But this was brought in with the fishing thing that they did, the monumental fishing update on Monday. But by repairing stage 17 of the monument, which are all the odd number stages, aka all the stone stages, of the monument, you have unlocked extra spots where you can catch sardines. Let's go check those out real quick, just for the sake of it. Not because they're good, but, you know, might as well go see what we just unlocked. So there should be 4 sardine spawns in both rooms now instead of 3. Let's just go take a peek at them. Oh yeah, let me bring this up. I was like, where's my mini-map? There we go. Is there any first-time bonuses I gotta grab while I'm over here? No. I already grabbed them all earlier. Alright, we're good to go. And an NM, and these obviously the thing we go for tonight. Alright, so yeah, let's go check this out. Is there any other active Forager I didn't get? Nope, I already got the shark jaw. Okay, we're good to go. Let's go see a little unlock. This one's very underwhelming. The salmon one we get at the end's kind of nice though. But similar to how bad this is on flounder, this just isn't really that good. But yeah, there's 4 sardines here, and there should be 4 sardines in the other room now. So now you should be able to infinite loop them. I guess I'll go try it real quick just for the sake of it. If I had to guess, which room is better? It looks like the left room is, right? I think these are closer. It's hard to tell. Let's see. They're all 3 apart from each other. So it might not matter. Let me double check here. Nope, no, this one's worse. This one does look like it's worse. Yeah, it looks like this is the sardine room. This does look like the sardine room to me. Alright, let's go try it. Let's go do this real quick just to see what the respawn rate is like. It's like the worst thing we'd be catching for XP right now with where our level range is low. But I'm mostly just checking the respawn. Since we did this for all of them on Monday, might as well go check this one right now since we just unlocked it. Honestly, it almost seems like we should do both rooms. Because I don't think this thing's going to respawn in time. Oh no, we'll see. Because they're so close together. Like, I'm not going to be able to grab it right now like the other fish, like bass. Like, notice how much downtime there is? So I guess you do have to utilize both rooms. Interesting. That's really weird. It's the only one that's set up like that. Yeah, look how long the spawn time is. Interesting. So the infinite loop is based on taking 4 in both rooms. That makes it even worse. Because it's not like cod or bass, where cod is a little bit weird because the spawn doesn't work properly for the final one. But bass is, you know, you just click on all 4, you wait, and you know, it just spawns right in front of you. Then you do all 4, it just spawns right in front of you. You do all 4, it spawns right in front of you. But this one you have to do a double room. Sardines are even worse than I thought. Because you actually have to do both rooms. You can't just camp one room like you can with cod and bass. Particularly bass, because their spawns work even better. Man, these are so bad. I'm still gonna do the full gameplay loop just to humor it, but these are so horrifically bad. Why were these added? And they're used for nothing for cooking or anything? They just exist? You just drop them on the ground, or you can sell them for 3.75. I forgot. They don't even have a number value because you can't do anything with them but sell them. It's literally just showing the value that they're like a little under 4 silver each. Yeah, I don't understand the point of them. And then we go back and it should be spawned on this side and then we go back and forth. But we're not missing out on much. Salmon upgrade at the end is going to be kind of nice though. Obviously we want the monument upgrade, but of the venture slot. But there's one tertiary extra benefit that we still get from completing out monument that we don't have. Is that one extra spawn of salmon in both rooms. Which is great because the salmon spawn numbers are really weird. There's 3 in one room, 2 in one pool, and then 1 in the other pool. So the extra +1/+1 should really align it a lot better. Okay, and then you just take all 4 of these and then go back and take all 4 of those, you know, so on and so forth. Alright, we got this gameplay loop, we know what it is. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's go do our passive. What's the best way to get there? Probably just teleport over here. And that will do it for now. But yeah, next Brighter Shore stream will be on Monday for the smithing grind. Next Forager Brighter Shore stream should be on next week's Wednesday, where we go back to Forager some, and then start doing like a different grind every single day to offset until Forager gloves. And then from there, yeah, we just go from there. And then we'll have the gloves on Monday. And then after we get the gloves on Monday, obviously we go crazy on Forager. Until we have max Forager. That's pretty much the game plan then. Though for the next 4 days, as far as streams, we'll still be doing Slay the Spire 2. Or, you know, we'll have that. It's not like we're not streaming at all. It's just we'll be doing not specifically Brighter Shores during those 4 days. But you know what I will be doing? We'll be doing this loop when I have some spare time to actually play. But otherwise, I will be here. On the anemones. Until that 100% meter says 0%. And then I will move over to the next stage. Which is to go move over to, whatever the thing is called. Where is it? The sprays. Where we would do that over there. Unfortunately, spray has no synergy. Unless I want to grab a few bell plants. I'm a few bell plants short, so maybe we'll grab a few while we're there, I guess. Because I think I still have like 200 short because I accidentally over AFK'd pondweed. Or, you know, actively AFK'd. But, yeah, that unfortunately has no synergy. But one nice thing about the anemones, if we do want to go and actually go and train, you know, we're surrounded by all of our best XP rate just right next to us. So it's really nice. Just grab a bunch of shells, but grab a bunch of kelp. Like, I literally do that right now. Like, if we had, like, some spare time, like, we could just click on all this, click on all this, click on all this, click on everything in the room, and then you automatically go to the anemones. Like, at the end of this, he will literally just go to the anemones. I could go away for, like, 10 minutes, and he would have done everything in his room, and then still AFK'd the anemone for the whole time. I really like that passives work like this. And this is one of the biggest benefiting rooms in the entire game for this. So if I can get off anemones at some point so we could save this loop for when I'm, like, somewhat AFKing, it'd be kind of nice. Because as long as you don't run out of inventory, yeah, you just do this. Where you grab everything in the room and then you just go straight back to AFK and anemones. Like, I'm not clicking anything during all this. He's doing all this on his own. And he's going back to his AFK on his own. And he'll even log out on his own after 5 minutes or however long the AFK timer thing is for this. And then, of course, he would still keep doing that for 18 more hours. Unless we grabbed more inventory, in which case it'll be a little bit less, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's really nice. Like, you can actually queue passives. And that's not normally that relevant, but this is like one of the few rooms in the entire game where queuing a passive is actually kind of nice. Because then if I came back in like 5 minutes, you know, we could stop him, grab everything in the room, do it again. And then, you know, we could AFK for any amount of time again. Or, you know, as long as we have enough inventory for the anemones. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a really weird way to do a gameplay loop, but it's actually kind of convenient. There's a couple things you could do it for in woodcutting, I believe. But the best synergy I've seen so far is this synergy for Forager. But a few other skills do have this synergy. I just feel like this is the best overall room for it since these things are already so good to begin with. On top of the loop just working. Yeah, it's like a small thing you could do if you want like partial AFK. Anyways, guys, we'll be heading out for now. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll be back with Slay the Spire 2 tomorrow around noon Eastern Standard Time. Next Brighter Shore stream will be for smithing on Monday for the smithing update for bounties. And our next Forager grind day will probably be around Wednesday or so. Until we start stalling a little bit until, you know, Forager gloves. We'll still be grinding other stuff, but won't be like Forager focused until, you know, Forager gloves come out. Other than like maybe one day to offset. Just so we can get tier 9. Because I want to, you know, stream the tier 9 if we can. I don't want to like AFK to it if we can. Like I want to actively like, you know, actually get it on stream if we can, but it's not too big a deal otherwise. But I want to try to if we can align it. That's pretty much the game plan. And then otherwise we delay until Forager gloves come out. And then we do Forager gloves for the whole tier 9 of Forager. And then we do that all the way until it's max, obviously. But anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up for now. Hope you all have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.